Right, everybody, welcome in. Hi, I am Pugs Moran. This is the Rant. We do this every noon live from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios in the beautiful South Side Chicago studios of RadioMisfits.com. That's right. That's what it is. It's the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios. No, it's the Kelly Moore Memorial Studio at Radio Misfits Southside. That's what we'll call it. That kind of works good. Welcome, everybody. We do current events talk, hot topics, trends, whatever it is that people are buzzing about. We like to gather together here every day around about noon, unless something crazy comes up like yesterday. And then we do it later in the afternoon. But it's a normal people discussion of the world. Why do I say normal people? Because we all work for a living. Not me, though. Not me. I don't work. Look, and I live every second of somebody who doesn't work, of an unemployed guy. Trust me, I know all the tricks, all the hacks. But you, see, I sacrifice that. I do this so that, no, actually, that's not true. I need to stop justifying this crazy narcissistic endeavor that's been going on now for 5 years. Point is this: we do talk for normal people. All right, we're not doing talk for rich people. I don't want any fucking Republicans with country club memberships joining us. Get the hell out of here. I want to talk to people who go to work every day. Sometimes they don't want to, but they do anyway because they've made a pledge to the people they love and the families that surround them that they will do this. That's a mentality that people, look, we got a president, we got a president who says about gas prices that he doesn't worry about gas prices. He said that yesterday. Doesn't concern him. Not a big deal. This is a man who has never driven past one gas station because the one across the street was 5 cents cheaper. He doesn't have the same worldview as us. And this show isn't for those people. This show isn't for people who, hey, thanks for the eggs, right? We got eggs. Egg prices apparently very manageable now, but the sacrifice, the turnaround was, of course, everything else is way more expensive than it was. Eggs, eat them eggs, people. We don't have to eat ducks and ponds anymore. Oh, boy. Yeah, I go on a rant. It's a stream of consciousness. Something triggers me in the news or in current events, and I just go. And from time to time, we like to jump into the chat room, so you're all invited as well. Every day here on the show, I like to, by the way, April yesterday made a little podium graphic, which warmed my heart. I'm like, look at that. Look at that. I'm doing something stupid. And somebody else is like, I'll be stupid too. And it's fun. It's fun being stupid. All right, podium. Here's how it works. We do this in the chat room every single day. The podium is very similar to, well, based entirely upon the measurement of success in Formula One auto racing. The top 3 people who finish the race, first across, second across, third across, the first 3 are known as the podium, and they get to stand up on the big stage and pour champagne over everybody's head. First place, second place, third place. So that's what we do every day in the chat room. Let me see. Now this is my side. I know that, I guess, look, according to my chat room monitor, when it chimes in, okay, the first person I see who is first place on the podium, it's Kevin. KB, first in today. Good for you. Followed by Barney. Barney didn't have to try that hard. I'll tell you why in a minute. Barney is the second in, and then look at her, Taronda, the Lewis Hamilton. The Lewis Hamilton of the podium. She's always up there. Although now I think I need to update my F1 reference. She's not the Lewis Hamilton of the podium. Now she's the Max Verstappen of the podium. Because Max is always hanging around. If Max didn't win, he's there somewhere. So thank you to both, all 3, Kevin, Barney, and Taronda. They're our podium for the day. They're awesome. Barney is also today's executive producer. Thank you, Barney. I appreciate you, dude. You are what our Jewish brothers call a mensch. A mensch. Barney dropped a little something in the... Barney was the only guy to tip yesterday, which is another reason why this show cannot continue. But thank you, dude. Barney coming through. We are in extended tip week or pledge week or whatever, the period of time on this show where we shake the can like some shady evangelical trying to make sure that we can keep the lights on for another month. But we've blown past our original pledge week, and now we're in overtime because we're nowhere close. So tip the show, support this kind of talk. If you appreciate the kind of talk you can't hear on radio, if you appreciate the kind of talk doesn't willingly carry water for anybody, no. Look, if I carry water for somebody, it's because I want to carry their water. And you know what? Sometimes I'm wrong, but the difference between me and other people that you'll hear everywhere else, I freely admit when I'm wrong. Yeah, I got that one wrong. You know who I didn't get wrong? You know who I did not get him wrong? Eric Swalwell. Didn't get him wrong. I had him tracked from the beginning. He just looked shady. But anyway, we'll talk about that. Yeah, we had dueling resignations. I will frame it to you this way. An indication that things are getting better and that the Trumpian way is absolutely fizzling to a very end. Okay, I'll explain what the events of yesterday as they pertain to our Congress. I'll explain how the events of yesterday are actually a really good sign. A really good sign. So we'll get into that. We're going to talk about, we'll get into the blockade a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. You know what I did, guys? I put my sunglasses. I'm wearing sweatpants because I'm over 50, because I'm a white man over 50. Sweatpants. It just seems natural. There is no specific reason why I prefer to wear sweatpants. I've got sweatpants in every color. I've got sweatpants that look like dress pants because I'm a white man over 50. What we do. I'll lean into it. You don't have to resist all of the things about aging. Like, a lot of stuff like, so what do you mean I can still play hoops in the driveway? No, you can't, Gramps. Stop it. You're going to blow your knee out. You're going to ruin the summer. You're going to be in a cast all summer, Gramps. Just sit there. A lot of things we give up when we age. But one of the things that we should lean into are the creature comforts. We're allowed to be, we're allowed to be a little bit, we're allowed to wear comfortable shoes. We don't care. We don't have to wear the latest Air Jordans. No, we'll run around in a pair of New Balance or maybe some Hoka shoes. Anyway, I wear sweatpants all the time. And I wear sweatpants and I'm broke. So that means that I buy sunglasses from the Dollar Tree. And the Dollar Tree sunglasses I put in my sweatpants, and I just pulled them out. And let me show you what happens. This is very sad. Do you see that? These are not. See that? That's not supposed to. Oh yeah, they're broken. Good thing they're only $1. Oh, wait, what's that? Everything at Dollar Tree's now $1.50? Oh, okay. Don't get me. You folks, you long-standing, citizens of the chat room, you know about my Dollar Tree rants. Oh my God. What did I forget how to drink coffee? I just went to drink coffee and I was at the wrong end. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame announced their class. A couple of weeks back, we went through the whole list of the nominees. We went through, this guy's going to get in. I made predictions. I don't remember what they were because it's a stream of consciousness. I might feel totally different today, but let's look. We'll revisit the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction, the nominated bands from this year, and we'll go through and we'll tell you who got in, and more importantly, because this is important to me, who didn't get in. I'm a little upset some people didn't get in. All right, so we'll do that. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. What else do we have? Oh, Maddie's going to join us today. And I want to really dig into something, a conversation that I just feel like it's tailor-made for a guy and a girl, man and a woman to talk about, right? And Maddie and I are going to get into the story that has been occupying sucking all the oxygen out of every sports conversation. It's the big sports story, and it's weird because we're like a week away from the draft. It's the Diana Russini and Mike Vrabel situation, because there are some, accountability is being had by at least one of them. And we're going to talk about that with Maddie. Diana Russini, of course, the former now NFL insider for The Athletic and the New York Times, and Mike Vrabel, the head coach of the New England Patriots. They got caught having an extramarital affair. They're both married. This is none of our business, but the issue at hand here is an interesting subject, which is, why is it that Diana Russini is the only one who seems to be suffering professionally for the extramarital affair that we, the general public, didn't have a right to know about in the first place? It's gossip. It's just gossip. Maddie and I will talk about that, and I hope that I can present a perspective to you that is at least unique in this conversation, because I ain't heard this perspective yet. At least not in anything that's getting shared and going viral. It's all about, why is the woman getting, well, let's talk about that. Why is the woman being punished here? All right, we'll do that with Maddie. Plus, Maddie's got some other stuff. She wants to riff on Hunter Biden, and we're going to talk about the DoorDash grandma, because apparently Maddie's investigating that, and she don't like what she's found. So we'll do all that stuff with her. What else? There is a lot going on today, guys. There's a lot of fun stuff today, guys. There's a lot. Well, I say that. This isn't fun. I want to talk a little bit about Brian and Lynette Hooker. Have you heard the names Brian and Lynette Hooker? Brian and Lynette Hooker, they're an old married couple. Not old. They're not an old married couple. I think Brian thinks he's got about 20 good years left, and goddamn, he's going to live them. As long as he doesn't go to jail. Brian and Lynette, they go down to a nice Caribbean vacation, and as luck would have it, only one came back. Only one came back after being held by police down there for the murder of Lynette. Yes, that's right. Brian Hooker and Lynette Hooker, old married couple, went for a romantic vacation down there in the Caribbean, and in the middle of the night, they got shit-faced and decided to go out in a dinghy on the ocean. One came back. Brian came back. We'll talk about that story. Oh, my God. I mean, look, I'm not making well, I am going to make light of it. I apologize. All right, going in. You're forewarned. I will be making fun of the situation that is now a pop culture story that concerns nobody that we know. That's how bad we are, right? If Lynette and Brian were our grandparents, we'd be very upset. Or if Lynette and Brian were our friends, we'd be very upset. But we're not. We don't know. It's just it's a story, and here's my angle on it. I think it might be the perfect murder, and I'll explain it to you. Brian and Lynette Hooker, we're going to talk about that. Plus, we got a whole bunch of videos that we'll get into. Videos we'll watch and break down, and who knows what else will happen today. Well, we're going to go through the news. All right. Let me see here. Let me say hi to the people in the chat room after, of course, awarding the podium today to Kevin, Barney, and Tyranda. Let's see here. Barney would like to post up by first announcing that I'm just a big, hairy America winning machine who wakes up every morning and pisses excellence. Woo! That's the attitude. It's how we funnel. It's how we channel that attitude. That's the real difference, right? All right. Let's see. Who else do we have? We got Mike. Mike being nice. Howdy, Mike. Howdy, right back at you. Ape's here. Ape says, hey, y'all. Hey, y'all. Peter says hi to Tyranda. I don't know. Kim, maybe you should be tracking that. Why is Peter singling out Tyranda? I don't know. But he says hi to Tyranda and everybody else. You know why? Because Tyranda is wonderful. Everybody wants to say hi to Tyranda. Adam's in the chat room. First words out of Adam today are weird. Didn't get a notification the show started. My bad. Nah, it's probably my bad. I sent it late. I sent it very late. I got a lot on my mind, folks. The survival of this show is pretty much decided, and I got a lot on my mind, so I'm trying to figure out other things. All right. Hi, Adam. Nice to see you. Peter says he is of the opinion that Vrabel thing is not news, and why do we waste our time on this? I am open-minded, so I will listen, but I really don't give a fuck. Well, you're no fun, Peter. Well, that's not true. We know that Peter's a lot of fun. Let's see. And Leslie. Leslie says hello. Hi, Leslie. All right, that's all we got in the chat room for right now. Folks, first of all, I have to tell you, one of the other things I'm very distracted about, I'd like to pretend that the reason that the show was 6 minutes late today was because, I was doing very important stuff. No, I wasn't. I wasn't doing important stuff at all. What I was doing, like when I should have been clicking go live, was, I was celebrating, ladies and gentlemen, happy Noah Schultz Day. It's Noah Schultz Day. Means nothing to you people, but maybe it should, because it's the reason the show started 6-7 minutes late. Noah Schultz is a Chicago White Sox pitcher who's very good. He's like 8 feet tall. I'm not kidding. He's 6'11". 6'11". 6'11", coming from the left-hand side at like 100. Anyway, he's making his Major League Baseball debut tonight for my Chicago White Sox. And so I'm a little distracted. We need big things out of Noah Schultz, the latest White Sox generational arm, or whatever they want to say. Here's the other thing about Noah. He's from here, which is, here's a prop. Here's something they're not talking about. They do this all the time in this city. This is a big area, Chicago metropolitan area. There have been numerous occasions where kids who grew up rooting for the teams of this area then, get drafted into their respective sports and end up playing for their teams. We've got a number of them here. Derek Rose, very good example. That's the all-timer. That's why he's got a jersey retired and statue and all that stuff. But, just like in Dallas or anywhere else, you love your hometown guys, and Noah Schultz is a hometown guy. He's matriculated now through the White Sox farm system, and finally, he should have broke camp with the team, but he didn't. But that's okay. So a little more seasoning. He's been absolutely lights out down in AAA. So we're very excited to see the debut of our latest phenom arm, who also happens to be a local product. But here's the problem. If a guy ends up playing for the Chicago Bears, like a Cole Kmet or a TJ Edwards, or there's a couple other ones too. Jack Sanborn is back with the Bears. Okay, so when a local kid ends up playing for the Bears, it's always hyped. He grew up a Bears fan. I think it was Nicky Delmonico. Kirby Puckett is another example. Guys who grew up in Chicago who grew up White Sox fans. And every time they would come up to bat for the other team, like Kirby Puckett, whenever he would bat for the Twins, they would say, boy, I bet he wishes he was playing for the White Sox. Kirby grew up a White Sox fan right in the shadows of the stadium. All of that shit. They ain't saying that about Noah Schultz, which makes me think he grew up a fucking Cubs fan. That's a black mark. They would be hammering it. Because right now, the local news story is about how, oh my God, there are busloads of students from Oswego High School are traveling to the White Sox game tonight, and they're all going to be in uniform, and it's going to be this great, huge homecoming for the local kid, the phenom. Probably grew up a Cub fan. That's all I'm saying. Because ain't nobody said, and he grew up a White Sox fan, and they absolutely would. So I'm dealing with that. And I'm also dealing with the fact that here's what we're about to see with my new White Sox pitcher, Noah Schultz. We're about to see a guy struggle for a season and a half. He's going to struggle until like June of next season, and then he's going to be lights out, and we'll trade him before the break for 5 pieces of Boston Red Sox garbage. That's what we'll do. We're going to let him struggle in a White Sox uniform for a year and a half. Then he'll develop, and then we'll trade them immediately to the Boston Red Sox. Because that's who we trade all of our pitchers to. I mean, just go back and look at it. Jason Beret, Boston Red Sox. I think we traded, who else did we trade? Chris Sale, Boston Red Sox. Who else did we? Garrett Crochet just last year, Boston Red Sox. We just trade our best pitching prospects. So if I'm a bit excited, it's simply because it's Noah Schultz Day here in Chicago. I almost wore my White Sox hat. I almost did the ceremonial changing of the White Sox, the hat. I was going to wear the black White Sox hat, but it's dirty. How did a hat that sits on a shelf get dirty? I don't know. But now this is the enabling attitude that continues my spiral into failure. But I appreciate it. Adam says it means something to us because it means something to you. That is so nice. Let's see here. Adam's also going to check in on the Russini thing. He says the news is that apparently Diana Russini may have been a pawn to move A.J. Brown to the Patriots. So that's why the league is getting involved. We'll talk about all of that fun stuff. All right, but first, what's happening? What's the big thing? All right, Blockade. Guess we're going to do a little Blockade talk here. Okay, so the block here's okay. Again, recapping, like a month ago, gas prices were gas prices, and the Strait of Hormuz was, doing its thing. It was fine. Then, and this is entirely my opinion. And then Trump was like, we need something to get people to stop talking about Epstein. So he did this thing that fucked up the Strait of Hormuz, which is causing gas prices worldwide to skyrocket, and everybody's angry at Trump. And I mean, the whole freaking world is like pissed at him. He's the asshole, which means, we're the asshole. We're the asshole. So that's what's happening there. And so he blockaded it. He blockaded now the Strait of Hormuz, because since the Israeli and American military actions against Iran did something that they'd never done before, which is essentially take sole control of the Strait of Hormuz. See, the Strait of Hormuz, I don't know if people understand this, it was not solely under the control of Iran before this. Iran was an incredibly important player in what happens in the Strait of Hormuz, but they weren't the only one. It was managed by an international group of people. And it was based, the group is based in both Iran and in Oman. Okay, so it's like Saudis have representation, Americans have representation. It was working smoothly. It was understood that this area was so important to the world economy, not just one nation or another, the world economy, that it needed to be run by, because it's in the Middle East, right? There's troubles. It needed to be run by a group of people who could come together. Well, since the war, the military actions taken against Iran basically said, yeah, fuck you. We've been playing nice with this deal forever. Everybody knows the entire strait is on our coastline. It's ours. So that's how this whole thing started like 2 weeks ago. Remember, boats started blowing up in Iran. Fast boats started, terrorizing tankers and shit like that. So that's happened a couple weeks ago, and that's when the gas prices started going up. Again, this is all in response to Trump trying to get people to stop talking about the Epstein files. So Iran is responding to being carpet bombed by chokeholding the only thing that they have, the only card that they have. Trump says they have no cards. They have a very good card. They literally, as Colin Joe said, have a strait. They are holding a strait. What do you mean they don't have any cards? So as of 48 hours now, something like that, 36 maybe. I'm not entirely sure, but we've been blockading. We've been running a United States blockade of, and this is important because people don't understand what we're blockading. The United States Navy is not blockading the Strait of Hormuz, okay? The United States Navy is blockading Iranian ports in the Strait of Hormuz. Why is this important? Because we're hearing all kinds of different, one side is saying the blockade isn't working, and the other side is saying the blockade is 100% working. When we are talking about the blockade, whether it's working or not, is our ships filling up and leaving Iranian ports on the Strait of Hormuz. That's the only thing we're doing. So trying to embarrass the president, which, I'm always for, but I hope you understand that I like it to be for legitimate reasons. Trying to embarrass the president by saying that ships are still moving through the strait and the blockade isn't working is a bit disingenuous, because the blockade was never supposed to stop traffic in the strait. The blockade is supposed to keep traffic flowing. It's supposed to stop the Iranians from being able to fill up tankers in their ports. That's the goal, okay? So as of right now, let me see, what is the absolute latest here on the blockade? So let's give you not some bullshit reporting. We're going to take a look at this maritime thing that I've been looking at lately. I've never needed to look at maritime maps. Never needed to look at the flow of ships on the oceans in America. Typically, I use Flight Radar 24 when we're talking about something about planes or stuff like that. Flight Radar 24 is a fantastic site that shows you where all the planes are. But there is a maritime equivalent, so we'll take a look at that. But first, here is what's happening as of April 14, 2026, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. The effectiveness of the U.S. naval blockade in the Strait of Hormuz is currently a subject of conflicting reports. While the U.S. military, CENTCOM, maintains that the blockade is holding, independent ship tracking data suggests many vessels have transited the area. Excuse me. And again, what we need to look at is it's not about whether or not vessels are transiting the area. The whole purpose of us being there is that ships can transit the area. We are blockading Iran's ability to sell oil to the rest of the world. That's really what the point of this is about. All right. Let's see here. Contrary to official reports. Oh, okay. Here's what CENTCOM says. And this is a problem because this is Pete Hegseth's CENTCOM. And as I've been saying for months now, I have no faith in any American institution. There is nothing that I can lean to and go, all right, well, that's the official response. That's officially what's happening. So let's base all of our opinions off that. No, that doesn't exist anymore. I have zero faith in institutions for the time being. So when CENTCOM says the blockade is working better than any blockade that we've ever done before, I call bullshit instinctively. And that's basically what CENTCOM is saying. They are reporting that 0 ships have successfully bypassed the blockade in the first 24 hours. CENTCOM has stated that 6 merchant vessels have complied with orders to turn around and return to Iranian ports. Tracking data. All right, let's look at this stuff. This is, show you what we're looking at here. Bum, 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 bum. Oh, I do this every day. Of course. All right, here, we'll pull up maritime tracking. All right, let's see. Maritime tracker. All right. All right, so let's take a live look at what's happening in the Strait of Hormuz. See if there's any ship movement. All right. So here's what we're looking at. This all the way, just think all the way. Don't be confused because it's a backwards map, right? Usually when we look at a map, the blue, we know instinctively the easy button. Blue is water. Don't look at what. Well, this is all the white is the water. It's what we want to look at. And this is the Strait of Hormuz. So this side over here, I don't know if you can see here, this side over here of the strait, this is all Iran, okay? Iran controls all of this, and these are all the big Iranian ports. You can see where the ships are. I don't know. Here's the problem with this. Unlike the flight radar setup, I know how to navigate, and I know how to be able to, like, which are military planes, which are what. I don't know where the blockade is. None of these ships are identifying as American ships, like this one, for instance. All right, see, this is an oil tanker. This is the Ocean Guardian. It is where's it registered to? Let's see. Kazakhstan. Okay, so this is a Kazakhstani oil tanker. Seems to be moving into port. Are these blue ones military? This is the Elia. Look at that. What's that? I don't know. Here, there was one guy out here. It's like a pleasure boat. Like one guy's out here pleasure boating, which is probably filled with Iranian bombs. Although I shouldn't be looking here because I'm actually looking on like the UAE side. I should be over here. All right. So these are the ports in Iran that are theoretically being, and here, I guess, that are oh, maybe this is a blockade. Oh, no, that's a ship going to Hong Kong. I don't know where that one's going. I do not see any listing for military naval vessels. And don't say, well, they wouldn't. No, they do. They do. They absolutely do. Flight Radar 24 is like, that's where you go to see military movement. Every ship in the water has to have, just like every plane in the air has to have a transponder. And so, private people can dial into those transponders to track them. And that's what these sites are. So the U.S. military, I just don't know where they are. There are so many ships here. Anyway, this is where it's happening. And there's all kinds of ships. Let's move further up here. Here's the Karkai Island, right? It's up here somewhere. There it is, Kark Island. All right, so this is what, maybe we'll look here. Maybe we'll see some military ships here. All right, this is the Kark Island. Destination Kark Island. All right, so these are ships. These are absolutely ships in a port that is in need of blockading, right? Okay, so let's see. Any of these American ships? The Parsa. No, that's an Iranian ship. It's an Iranian ship. It's an Iranian ship. This is a fishing area. That's a fishing ship. See, I don't know where the blockade is. Where is the blockade here in the port? These are all Iranian ships seemingly moving freely through. I don't see any American ships. I know they're there. We know they're there, right? It's not a total lie. I mean, there's ships there. I just don't know where they are. Okay, so anyway, it looks like, there's a lot of traffic going through the Strait of Hormuz. But again, before we start laughing at Trump, which I know we're all very reflexively interested in doing, know the facts, right? I'll slam idiots on the left when they say stupid shit. I have fun slamming idiots on the right when they say stupid shit. But again, this blockade is not stopping and choking off the Strait of Hormuz. That's what we're trying to avoid. This blockade is about blockading specific Iranian ports that happen to be located in the Strait of Hormuz. So let's see what's going to happen. Now, it is interesting to me that there is one ship in particular that is not good for the United States. Let me give you the name of that ship. Is it tracking data, BBC? The BBC and tracking data has confirmed, as has the intelligence platform Kepler. They've observed at least 4 Iranian ships crossing the Strait of Hormuz following the start of the blockade. These include the Iranian Christiana, which departed the Iranian port of Bandar, and the sanctioned methanol carrier Elpis. All right, so there are 2 Iranian ships that since the blockade, CENTCOM says none. CENTCOM says nope. 2 Iranian ships since the blockade, according to multiple sources here, in direct conflict with what CENTCOM is saying, multiple sources, and this is why I wanted to show you that maritime map and explain to you how that's put together. It's not controlled by any government. That is free information. So anyway, CENTCOM is telling us no ships have passed, but all of the other data is saying that no, a number of Iranian-linked ships have passed, as well as Chinese ships are passing. Now, why is this troubling? What are we going to do? We're going to stop a Chinese ship because we're talking like we will. We are talking, we have a president who is talking like nobody leaving Iranian ports. That's what he said. Who's he talking about? Nigeria? Who's he getting tough with? Because a Chinese ship this morning went right through, left an Iranian port and went right through. Now, remember, all these people who are saying that it's an absolute failure and it's not doing anything, those people don't know what they're arguing. They're arguing that the port is still moving. The port is, of course, still moving. That's the plan. The argument is, are ships being stopped leaving Iranian ports? CENTCOM is telling us yes, and yet we have multiple reports from independent organizations that are saying that's not true. We've got a number of Iranian flagged and Chinese oil carrying vessels that have just been allowed to go right past, which is a really bad look for us. I mean, this is, once again, we are a bullshit country. Do you know the thing about America that made America great? And I'm talking about during the Cold War and in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s and certainly under Reagan. Nobody thought we were a bullshit country. Everybody took us serious because we were measured. We got what we wanted. I mean, look, America pretty much, you want to look at modern colonization. I mean, America, without actually planting a flag in these countries, has created puppet regimes all around the world. We are colonists, and it's worked out well for us until recently. Anyway, Nobody is afraid of this guy. China ain't afraid of him. China's like, just go. Just what are they going to do? They're going to stop us? Because the world knows what bluster is. And the same kind of bluster that works in a boardroom at a country club is not the same kind of bluster that works when you're on the world stage and behaving as a statesman. And by the way, I understand the whole America first thing and all that, but I've always rejected America first. I believe America is first, and therefore we have an obligation to lead by example. Think of any of your favorite sports teams. Don't you wish your team captain was that guy, the guy who leads by example? Well, the globe and humanity is a fucking team, and we are the team captain. And guess what? Apparently we're going through a divorce and we're drinking and we're not hitting anymore and everybody's pissed at us. That's what the team captain role is for us right now. I liked being the team captain. They're laughing at us. If we're just what are we doing? What are we doing? Is our badass military naval war machine, is it just out there anchored and the Chinese ship is coming? And are our admirals just going, what should we do? What should we do? Just tell them to go around. Just go around us. Just go around us. We don't want to have an official international incident here. because then America and China, and then the people would be really mad at Trump. He's blustering us into a position where we're going to look like cowards, where we're going to look like people who don't back up what we say. All credibility, they will respect us. That shit's gone, man. They are laughing at us, the whole fucking world. Anyway, that's what's going on with this nonsense in the Straits, okay? Once again, CENTCOM is telling you, our official reports from the Pentagon is telling you that zero ships are passing. I see, now look at me, I got to be fair. I haven't seen an update in the last 2 hours. Maybe they've changed it. If CENTCOM is now saying that no, there have been a couple of ships, then maybe, give me a little credit. I'll be like, okay, information changes, and I don't get information as quickly as maybe I should, but I still run my mouth. So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt if CENTCOM has now changed their position. But I'm telling you, there are multiple other independent sites that are reporting ships are passing. We're not confronting Chinese flagged ships or Iranian vessels. They say some turn around. Okay, what's that? Finland? Oh, what a surprise. Finland is playing nice. All right, so there you have it. There's the blockade. Well, this whole thing is just such a silly mess. All right, what else do we have? You know what my favorite takeaway from yesterday was? And again, I'm trying, guys, understand that I am trying really desperately to move away from just ranting on the president of the United States every day. But my God, every day it's another piece of nonsense. You know what my takeaway from yesterday was that got right past me, but now I can't believe it. It's because the guy word vomits so much nonsense that half the nonsense doesn't even register with us. But did you guys hear yesterday when the president of the United States criticized the Pope, the Holy Father of the Catholic Church, 1.5 billion people? The president of the United States accused the Pope of being weak on crime. Oh my God. See, now, look, let's put a bunch of different moving parts together to try and get a full view of what's happening here, okay? What I think is happening here, and this is a larger look at Trump. Trump's not a religious man. He's not Christian. He didn't go to church. He's never gone to church. The Trump family has never been religious, okay? But Trump knew he had to pretend to be religious, at least, for a little while to, get the dupes on his side. Because one thing that he knew is that those people who will blindly follow those obvious con men in those evangelical churches all across America, Trump knew that those people could be convinced to vote for him. So he targeted them. He had to pretend to be a Christian for a while, but he doesn't know anything. He didn't know dick. Like, he is either one of two things with the Pope is weak on crime. One of three things. All right, we'll give it three things. First, he's senile. First, he's confused. He thinks he's talking about Mandami in New York or, Johnson in Chicago, or he thinks he's talking about some Dem. Calling the Pope weak on crime. It's funny, but it's also concerning if this fucking president doesn't know what the role of the Pope is in the world. Weak on crime. His economic policies are also a little bit wild. The Pope is not a politician, you fucking fool. All right, so there's that. That's one. Two, he's just lying. He's just lying because he's that guy. He's the sales guy who, he's backed into a corner. He just starts talking because he's charming. And, his entire life, when push came to shove, nobody really backed Fred Trump's boy into a corner. So he can always talk his way out of it. So maybe it's that. He's just lying as a matter of, method. That's the way he's always gotten what he wanted, by misrepresenting the truth. Or the third thing is, and maybe this has something to do with, 2 and 1. But the third thing is that not only is he not a practicing Christian, right? I'm not a practicing Christian. I'm a lapsed Catholic. I was raised cradle Catholic. I've been that my whole life. Not a convert, which we'll talk about later. So even though I do not go to church every day, I have a very, very familiar knowledge of how it all works. And it's like riding a bike. I feel confident that I could jump right back into church next Sunday if I wanted to. And yeah, this is where we kneel. This is where we stand. All right. Trump doesn't have that. I don't think Trump has any base understanding of who Jesus is. So when he says things like the Pope is weak on crime, I think it has more to do with the fact that he honestly doesn't know what the Pope means to people. That he honestly doesn't know that the Pope is not a fucking politician. It's somebody that's voted in and out of office. That the Pope is an unbroken lineage that goes all the way back to Jesus. That's what Catholics believe. Mock it if you want. That's what they believe. Fuck you if you're going to be religiously intolerant. But that is the position that the Pope holds in the eyes of devoutly Catholic people. Want to be a dick about it? Go ahead, be a dick about it. But he's not a politician. Catholics don't see the Pope as a politician. They literally see him, and this is one of my problems with Catholicism, they literally see him as an alien on Earth who is, again, a part of the unbroken, uncontested line dating all the way back to Jesus' best fucking friend. That's who founded our church. Actually, Jesus founded our church, and it was run and set up by his best friend. Your church is run by a guy who sold cars in the 90s. Evangelicals. Oh, yeah, I'm doubling into this evangelical. I've been waiting for this moment for a long time. Hypocritical evangelicals. All right, anyway. So when he says things like the Pope is weak on crime, I think it's really just because he doesn't know what the Pope does. And when he says things like, he thought that was a doctor, right? Let's get into that from yesterday. The post that he put up where he was wearing Jesus's robes and he had magic coming out of his fingers and he was laying hands, all of the miracle things that Jesus did. But, it's Trump, right? So Trump's explanation for that was, I thought that was a doctor. I thought that, that was the thing I was healing people because that's what I do. I heal people. I mean, you heard what he said. Maybe he didn't recognize that as Jesus. See, do you see what I'm saying? He doesn't have the base background of Christianity that all of us does. So when he says things like the Pope is weak on crime, he thinks that crime management is a part of the Pope's job because he doesn't have the basic understanding of what faith means to people and what certain individuals occupy in the realm of their personal faith. The Pope is not a politician to Catholics, dude. Shut up. You're making it worse. And when he says things like, I thought I was a doctor, I believe it's possible he didn't recognize Jesus. This man didn't recognize Jesus. He saw the nurse and he saw a guy on a gurney that was obviously a patient in dire need of a miracle. That's what normal people registered that picture as. But Trump says, no, I thought I was being a doctor. Again, he's either lying. That's not a senility thing, because that's I'm bobbing and weaving with a story I got to make up. So I don't think it's a senility thing, but he's either lying when he says, I thought I was a doctor, or he legitimately doesn't recognize Christ when he sees him. He just doesn't recognize him. Oh, is that what those robes were? I thought they were old-timey doctor robes. Weak on crime. He's like, well, I don't like the Pope. He's weak on crime. Give me an example. Give me an example of the Pope being weak on crime, please. I want to hear this. But of course, nobody does follow-ups, and he doesn't take follow-ups anyway. He just moves on to the next Newsmax reporter who's there. All right. So here. So let's do this since we're talking about this. We'll show this. Here's a side by side. I wanted to do this yesterday, but of course, somebody cool on the internet fixed it for me, and but not during yesterday's show. But this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to show you an example of Trump explaining how he's a doctor side by side with the actual picture. So I want you to see the picture of, Jesus's holy robes. He's got, I saw someone on Twitter. This was actually before the whole hubbub, but somebody was on Twitter saying that he's holding a flashlight. That's not a flashlight, okay? This is not the context of a flashlight. What is this? What's going on around? What is the magic touch? What is that? Come on, man, just stop it. This is obviously Trump positioning himself as the savior of humanity. He is wearing robes reminiscent of Christ. He has somehow, it's the Avengers, if you ask me, but to him, it's probably, archangels, the American flag, because of course everybody knows Jesus was born in America. Eagle, Statue of Liberty, and of course, Jeffrey Epstein getting cured by Trump. If I could have only cured him of his pedophilia, I wouldn't have all of these problems. All right, so here's the picture. Here's the picture. Here's the man explaining what you're looking at.
Mr. President, did you post that picture of yourself depicted as Jesus Christ?
Well, it wasn't depicted. It was me. I did post it, and I thought it was me as the doctor.
All right, so he thinks this is a doctor. He's either lying, senile. Like, no, again, this is him, Bob, and he thinks he's got an explanation for it. He thinks he's figured out how to shut this line of questioning down. He's just going to say he thinks it's a doctor. Okay, so again, that shows me a little bit of spin, a little bit of lucidity, maybe. You know, he's not. I'm not going to say senile here. What I'm saying is he is either lying directly because he is so comfortable lying to his base, and he knows that they are the stupidest people on the planet and will just accept anything he says, which is what drives the rest of us so nuts. I don't even have that big of a problem with him. I've got a problem with his supporters, especially the ones who are still there now. Unless you're getting a fucking paycheck, man, there ain't no excuse for it. They should pay me. You know what? They should pay me. If they paid me, seriously, we need like $300 to get this show right, and we're already like 14 days in. We're halfway into the new month. We're already behind the 8 ball. Pay me! Come on, MAGA! I will do a drop. I would love to do that show. And it probably have 15,000 viewers by the end of the first week. But you, the fabulous 15 who are here now, you'd know it's all parody. People getting paid for shit. All right, so here we go. So again, he says, no, it was a doctor. And I say, well, then he's either just flat out lying, or this is another example of how this president, the Christian president, doesn't recognize Jesus. So which is it? Is he lying or he doesn't recognize Jesus? It's one of those two.
I did post it, and I thought it was me as a doctor, and it had to do with Red Cross as a Red Cross worker there, which we support.
Where's the Red Cross worker? There's a nurse there. Now this picture is a little bit shortened, but she doesn't have a Red Cross badge on, does she? I mean, I might be wrong. I don't think she does. What I tracked looking at it, what I remember from looking at it, is she's obviously a nurse. Now he's trying to rope in how America supports the Red Cross. Maybe that's what's going on. I don't know. But I didn't track her as a necessarily a Red Cross worker. I was a nurse bringing Jeffrey Epstein, who is dying of pedophile AIDS, to Trump to be cured. That's how I took it.
And only the fake news could come up with that one. So I just heard about it.
Fake news. Once again, fake news. This is what he's done to you. You people don't believe anything anymore because of the endless fake news. It's not all fake news, guys. It's not all fake news. But, you now have been given that Joker card to be able to disavow anything that you hear about the guy that you love. Because fake news is now something that happens endlessly to this guy. God, it's just nonstop for this guy. But I'll tell you what's not fake news. Swalwell. Now, you asked Trump about Swalwell. They got that one right. Everything else is fake news.
And I said, how did they come up with that? It's supposed to be me as a doctor making people better. And
what do you mean it's supposed to be? It's supposed to be like that's what you think it is? Or are you now throwing the creator under the bus for not doing the doctor the way you
do make people better? It's supposed to be me as a doctor making people better. And I do make people.
He had to get that in. And I do make people better. I make people better. Who says that? Who talks about themselves that way other than some despicable fucking wide receiver in the NFL? It's how Michael Irvin used to talk when he was the most loathed athlete in sports. And I do make people well. I make people well. People are saying, everybody's talking about it. I make people well better than anyone has ever seen before. I make people well.
Better. I just heard about it. And I said, how did they come up with that? It's supposed to be me as a doctor making people better. And I do make people better. I make people a lot better.
All right, there you go. That's enough. He makes people better. He's a doctor. We're all overreacting. It's fake news. Anybody who would see that. Okay, goodbye. Goodbye, Mr. President. CBS News. CBS News. Is this? Hold on. What is? Oh, yeah. Okay. So I'll show you this one, too, because I guess this is another clip that backs up my belief. I was going to skip over this. But here's another clip. This one goes back a while. It backs up my belief that he He doesn't have any Christian foundation, and yet he's trying to convince the stupidest people in America that he is devoutly Christian. He's been doing this since 2016. This one goes all the way back to 2016. Tell me this isn't a kid who has been called on by a teacher in a math class who has no fucking idea of what the answer they're looking for is. But he's got charm, and never forget, he's Fred Trump's boy, so he can talk his way out of anything because nobody's gonna push him back.
Okay. You mentioned the Bible. You've been talking about how it's your favorite book, and you said, I think last night in Iowa, some people are surprised that you say that. I'm wondering what one or two of your most favorite Bible verses are and why.
I wouldn't want to get into it because to me that's very personal. You know, when I talk about the Bible, it's very personal, so I don't.
Here's everything personal about everything guy in the world has now suddenly found solemnity when it comes to discussing his faith. This is a kid who's been asked a question in a class and he doesn't have a fucking clue what the answer is. And he also, worse off, doesn't even know what area the answer is supposed to be in.
Want to get in.
This is con man bullshit.
I don't want to get into it because to me that's very personal. You know, when I talk about the Bible, it's very personal, so I don't want to get into verses. I don't want to get into.
There's no verse that means a lot to you that you think about or cite.
The Bible means a lot to me, but I don't want to get into specifics.
Even to cite a verse that you like.
No, I don't want to do that.
Because he can't. Because he can't. You can see that, right? I mean, you're not that broken. Like you can read this situation immediately, right? It's not that he doesn't want to. He can't. He can't. Because it would be so easy for him to say something beautiful and eloquent here that would probably bond him to a Christian voter very, very solidly. But he won't, because it's too personal. Because we know Trump never goes personal. Never goes personal. It's too personal. Again, not about him. This is about you. This is about you. Do you not see this? And do you just, when you see it, you just go, oh, this is fake news? What? Fake news?
An Old Testament guy or a New Testament guy?
Specifics.
Are you an Old Testament guy or a New Testament guy?
Even to cite a verse that you like.
No, I don't want to do that.
An Old Testament guy or a New Testament guy?
Probably equal.
Doesn't want to take a stand. Doesn't even really know how to answer this question. Wasn't really sure that there were two versions, but they're equal to him because he's running for something.
I think it's just an incredible, the whole Bible is an incredible, I joke very much so. They always hold up the Art of the Deal. I say my second favorite book of all time. But I just think that
next to his own. And a lot of you people heard these things ad nauseum over and over again, these little self-pats on the back and these self-aggrandizements and all that, and you just went, that's cool. That's cool. I like when people do that.
The Bible is just something very special.
Okay, you mentioned the Bible.
All right, there you go. That's CBS News, speaking of the whole Trump and the doctor thing, CBS News hit the streets of Manhattan and just started cold approaching people, and they asked them what they see. And it's pretty fun. So let's watch this video here again. CBS News on the streets of Manhattan yesterday. They started asking people. Trump claims that it's a picture of a doctor. So they just went and, asked people on the street. Nope. Sorry, that's not it. Oh, geez. Louise's. CBS. There it is. All right. There's the CBS story. Trying to do things too quick. We had a sponsor, we could have a producer, and this show would be so smooth. It would look so different. But then, maybe it would lose its charm. Here it is, CBS New York on the street asking people about Trump's I was a doctor line.
If you could just unfold that paper, that's something that President Trump posted on Truth Social. Could I just get your reaction to that image?
Oh, wow. I hope he's not equating himself to Christ himself. I wouldn't necessarily approve of this.
Could you be any more insulting to your entire Christian base to identify yourself as Jesus Christ? I mean, it's pretty crazy, right?
Oh God! Oh my God! What? Cannot find words.
It's part of the clown show.
I love to see everyone coming together, everyone looking for the best, for the healing, but the fact that I think he is dressed inappropriately in this situation.
Isn't this woman's response to this just like what all of our response is at this point? Just like, geez, what the fuck, man? Are you beating us down into submission? Is that what you're trying to do?
No one puts their place in the person of Christ, no matter how much they enjoy freedom and try to protect people and things like that. We don't put ourselves into the person of Christ. We try to act like Christ. That's certainly, and no one can criticize anyone for that. But putting yourself in the person of Christ, I think that's a little bit.
I want to say this because there have been a lot of Catholic spokespeople who've been popping up on either viral or YouTube interviews or even over, cable news and all that stuff. And one of the guys that is back in the rotation is Father Edward Beck. I don't know if you guys know who Father Edward Beck is, but this guy, they trot him out whenever there's Pope news or whatever. And then he becomes like a regular panelist on CNN for a couple of weeks and then he goes away. Father Edward Beck is like just amazing. He just seems like the coolest, nicest, smartest, warmest, most forgiving and understanding individual, and just the best representative for the Catholic Church outside of Leo, I would say, that we can have here in America. So it's good to see Father Beck back in the rotation. But I would also add, and this brother here, this is a friar, a Catholic friar. This guy here is just another example of, can I just say, as a lapsed Catholic, I am so proud of the way Catholics, especially high-ranking Catholic officials, have been representing in the last 24 to 48 hours. The message of all the Catholic spokespeople haven't wavered. The message is Jesus is the Prince of Peace. Jesus in Catholicism wants peace. We want peace. We're not talking about politics. We are talking about the murdering of innocents. Peace. Every single Catholic that I've seen has been anchored to that message. And of course, when you're on CNN or MSNBC or Fox, you're going to get one of these panels. So there's going to be some paid right-wing hack to go, well, with all due respect, Father, and he's going to push back. And all I can tell you is that in every situation, the Catholic voice has been the calm, reasonable, kind, and loving voice. Every single time. Trump says that Pope Leo wanted. This is how he said, well, Pope Leo wanted Iran to have nukes. First of all, you told us you solved Iran having nukes problem a year ago. You did an end zone dance. You even went up in the polls. You told us you ended their missile program and their nuke program a year ago. You lied about that. Or you were wrong. And you know what? It is all right for a president to be wrong. It is all right for a military thing to not go exactly as planned. But you can't do that. So now here we are in a full-fledged war, which you promised would never happen now a year ago. The Pope is not for a nuclear Iran. The Pope is questioning the methods of war. He has questioned endlessly Israelis' situation there in Gaza. He has questioned Israeli and Iran. He has questioned America now entering against Iran. He is talking about everybody laying down their arms and going back to talking the way Jesus would. That's it. It's not politics. Shut the fuck up. You should ignore the Pope. The president shouldn't engage with the Pope. They are two completely different lanes. Anyway, here's another example of a Catholic representative who I think is just comporting themselves with the utmost class, dignity.
Problem. So
liken himself.
We try to act like Christ. That's certainly, and no one can criticize anyone for that. But putting yourself in the person of Christ.
He said something really important there. He said something very important there about that is just it's a cornerstone to Catholicism. He said we try and act like Christ. We try Catholics try and act like Christ. Acts of Christliness, acts of kindness and charity. Catholics have to do good things. Otherwise, they're not good Catholics. Yeah, that's one of the things the evangelicals threw out. The evangelicals are only about adherence to Scripture as it's written. Do as we say. Whereas, Catholics are evil because their path to salvation, Catholic salvation, is through acts of charity and kindness. Just pointing that out as an evil former Catholic.
I think that's a little bit of a problem. So, into the person of Christ. We try to act like Christ. That's certainly, and no one can criticize anyone for that. But putting yourself in the person of Christ, I think that's a little bit of a problem. So
Liken himself to the Son of God while he's waging wars and killing people. Yeah, it's not great.
Pope Leo directly said that he wasn't in favor of the war in Iran. President Trump responded and said that he didn't think Pope Leo was doing a great job.
Week on
Do you have any
crime.
thoughts there?
I don't think it's the president's place to tell the Pope whether he's doing a good job or not. He's not going to have an opinion.
as a non-Catholic, I don't know if he can really make that comment about whether he's doing a good job. If the Holy Spirit is guiding Pope Leo to make comments on this, then then God bless him. He's doing his job.
I mean, what's the argument that war is good and that blowing up schools full of children are? I mean, Pope Leo has a pretty easy position. War is always wrong, and this is not a justified war by any real measure. So,
in defending that poster, the president said that he was actually trying to depict himself.
Great point. That Pope Leo doesn't have to defend his position. Pope Leo's position is that of Christ's. War is wrong, says the Prince of Peace.
As a medical person healing people.
Oh, Jesus. Like, seriously.
You don't think so?
In his mind, if that's what he's doing, actually he's making people sick, but that's what we voted for.
Only if it's Dr. Seuss. I mean, it's like, how could that even come close to being a doctor? It's like, it just doesn't even make sense.
All right, there you have it. There you have it. All right, so what else do we want to do here? We did that. Oh, hey, here's a little quick something here for you. All right, how about this? Actually, do we have this? What is this here? Yesterday, we started a new fan club. We started the Muskrats. I don't know who joined my Muskrats, but I'm the president of the Casey Musgrave Fan Club, South Side of Chicago chapter. We are the Muskrats. We talked about Casey yesterday because Casey reported that she saw a UFO. Turned out not to be a UFO. Turned out to just be a Starlink thing. But whatever. It's okay. Casey's awesome. She was probably high. She likes to get high. She's so pretty. And she's so cool. And she reported that she had seen UFOs. She made a video. And then somebody said, no, it's just Starlink. And she fired back at that person saying, oh, go screw your mama or something. It was very funny. She's very funny. Anyway, here's the latest. Casey posted this morning. And isn't this how we all feel? Can't we all get behind this? Would you look at this? Here you go. This will make it bigger for you. That's what she said. Look at that. Casey Musgrave is posting that it's her in the bed. And the only person who can cure her is, of course, the Savior Dolly Parton. That's the one that we can all get behind. Thank you to Casey. Such a crush. She's such a cool chick. Okay, so the other thing I want to get to, Maddie, we'll get to you. I'm sorry, we're running a little bit behind here. We'll get to you. The other thing that I wanted to mention is put this on your radar. Okay, I think we're 9 days out now. 9 days. Maybe. Same day as the NFL draft. Wow, look at that. Same day as the NFL draft. We are 9 days now away from King Charles and Queen Camilla coming to the United States and having this big state dinner thrown by Melania and Donald Trump. This may not happen. And what we should talk about is, what is that going to look like if the King of England decides that it is not the right time for him to be hanging out with not only the world's most hated guy, Donald Trump, but also with a guy who was really good friends with a guy that his brother was also really good friends with. And the whole fucking Epstein thing is a big conversation. The people of England do not want their king going and meeting with Donald Trump because of the Epstein Association. They are upset. They are, and rightfully so. But what does Prince Charles? What does King Charles think he's doing? Does King Charles think, like in King Charles' mind, is he going to go there? And I understand all of the criticisms, but does the king? I must sit with this man and speak with it, right? Is that what King Charles is thinking? Because his people are like, fuck that, we're not going. You can't let him go. Keir Starmer, who is the leader of Parliament, he's the prime minister there. He's basically like their president in England. Keir Starmer is being pressured by Parliament to advise the king under no uncertain terms, do not make this trip. He can still come to America. He's going to America. He's going to New York. He's going to Miami. But do not visit the White House. And see, here's the problem. It is so late in the game now that it can't help but be an international incident if King Charles doesn't go, and even potentially, as the Brits are fearing, if he does go. Like, their fear is that there will be a press gaggle where the president will be with the king, and the people of England, who look at their king in a different way than we look at our president, the people of England don't want their king sitting there silently while the big dumb pumpkin starts running his mouth about awful shit, because the king of England will be forced to respond. Do you see the position? The king of England can't be seen as a supplicant to Trump. And they don't want to put the king of England in a position where he's going to have to sit there and or Trump's going to go, yeah, what do you think of the Riley Gaines trans thing? And then King Charles is going to be like, well, it's a no-win. And we're 9 days out. Anyway, this is what was happening yesterday on the floor of Parliament, just to give you an idea of what these people are thinking about this whole thing. I don't know who any of these people are. I'm barely familiar with the American Congress at this point. I think I punched out after the last election. There's a whole bunch of clowns running around there, but I know even less about British Parliament. But here you go. This was from British Parliament yesterday. This isn't a direct comment to Keir Starmer. This is one of the members of Parliament. I believe he's an MP. Well, that would be a member of Parliament, but like lords and MPs or whatever. I think it's like their version of the Senate, the upper house and the lower house, except it's based on money and privilege instead of, actual getting votes. Point is this. Here we go. Let's watch it. This is yesterday in British Parliament concerning King Charles' trip to Washington, D.C. and state dinner at the White House.
A whole civilization will die tonight. Words I never thought I would hear from an American president. And though Donald Trump thankfully didn't follow through this time, these are, by the way, just a reminder. These are our best friends in the entire world. Stark reminder of how reckless, immoral, and completely outside the bounds of international law this president is. Regrettably, he is no friend of the United Kingdom. He's no leader of the free world. He is a dangerous and corrupt gangster, and that is how we must treat him. So will the Prime Minister advise the King to cool off his state visits to Washington before it's too late? Because I really fear for what Trump might say or do while our King is forced to stand by his side. We cannot put His Majesty in that position. And when it comes to Trump's latest cunning plan to blockade the Strait of Hormuz, that will only escalate this crisis and jeopardize the precarious ceasefire. So it's right that the UK is not joining Trump. And I welcome the Prime Minister convening a summit to offer an alternative to Trump's. We must work with our reliable allies in Europe and the Commonwealth and our partners in the Gulf to bring this conflict to an end and keep open the Strait of Hormuz. That is critical for tackling the cost of living crisis that's getting worse and worse for the people in the UK. With petrol prices now up by more than 25p a litre and diesel up 49p since Trump started this war.
I don't know what any of that means, but I imagine it's commensurate with what we're going through here.
Let's not forget by the leader of the Conservative Party and Reform. Does the Prime Minister recognise that families and businesses can't wait months for...
What's going on with this guy? What's going on with this guy? Is this one of them, one of them lords, generations of incest and inbreeding? You can barely keep his head up. What's going on here?
The government to step in and help.
Oh,
so will he use the windfalls the Treasury is getting from higher fuel prices to cut the cost of living and keep the economy moving with action to slash bus fares and rail fares and cutting fuel duty by 10p today, bringing down the price at the pumps by 12p a litre?
All right, there you go. So, I can't wait for this. I can't wait to go home. Two things I'm going to do tonight when I go home. I'm going to watch Noah Schultz debut for the Chicago White Sox. It's like a 7'5" left-hander who throws 148 miles an hour. Don't look it up. Don't look it up. Trust me. Anyway, I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to go jump in front of Sky News because I've been monitoring this guy. This story is very interesting. They do not want their king coming to America right now. Not right now. Not right now. All right, so I promised you at the start of the show today that I was going to talk about the situation concerning, and I should have mentioned this yesterday, and I felt bad. I felt bad that I didn't mention it because I wanted to, but I just didn't get to it. Remember at the end of yesterday's show where I was like skipping over some things? I'm like, I don't want to get into that. I don't want to get into that. Well, this is one that I didn't want to get into, and I'm glad that I didn't because now, in the hours after I would have gotten into it, everything has changed. It's completely different, so let's talk about the dual resignations from the Congress yesterday. That's right. It wasn't a coincidence. Not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. And what it is a sign that we are healing ourselves, that the parties, the two broken parties who have been completely marginalized by the dominance of, Trumpism, that the two parties are now actually working together independently of Trump, which is very good for all of us that are hoping to find some kind of a impeachment in the future or the 25th Amendment or something. He's not going to go all 4 years. He's not. Is what's going to happen? We don't know. But it is a good sign for the rest of us that our Congress seems to be healing because Eric Swalwell, let's start with him. First, let me tell you about Eric Swalwell. Eric Swalwell is one of these TV moths. You know, I tell you all the time, I say, if you don't know who your congressperson is, that's probably a good thing. And it probably means that your congressperson is doing the work of a congressperson. Because if you don't know who your congressperson is, that means that they're not all over Twitter. It means that they're not all over CNN or Fox News or whatever. They're not a camera moth. Eric Swalwell was a camera moth. He's a congressman from California. And he's one of the most high-profile shit talkers and shit trollers on the left. He's always been this guy. I think he's a guy, I don't know what his appeal is. I really don't know what his appeal ever was, other than he was saying the things that people on the left wanted to hear because he was a very big Trump critic. Everything was so, this guy's a pig, this guy's disgusting and all that. And I think that he appealed to the left-wing Karen crowd. I think women liked him. I think there was something about him that women were attracted to. And he was saying, Pugs, how can you be so misogynistic? Because I'm a guy. Because I'm a guy and I see the world and I know how people react. Better than that, I'm a good judge of people. And I know what the appeal of guys like Eric Swalwell is. Because I tracked that son of a bitch from the very beginning. That guy was a con from the very beginning. Look at him. You're telling me he doesn't look like an asshole? You're telling me he doesn't look like one of the rich dicks from a John Hughes movie? Immediately, the first time I saw Eric Swalwell, I went, oh man, this guy is checking a lot of boxes. He seems a little bit too. Eric Swalwell has always been somebody of duplicitous character, in my opinion, okay? So when the story started popping out, after, by the way, he was really making traction in the California governor's. This guy could have been president because the way he had played his earlier career, in the way he had sort of duped the incredibly stupid people on the left. We always talk about how the stupid people on the right get duped. Stupid people on the left get duped too. He was a hero to them, and they were about to make him the governor of California until people within the party stepped up and went, yeah. This isn't a hit from Trump or from MAGA, the takedown of Eric Swalwell. It came from mostly inside his own party because that's where his victims were. Did he think he was untouchable? Did Eric Swalwell think, doesn't it seem to go so counter to everything that you've seen him say in a news hit or whatever over the years? This behavior, this wasn't who Eric Swalwell was. Eric Swalwell was like the definitive liberal man. My woman, I don't mind if my woman makes more than me. I don't either. That's not a thing. I guess maybe makes me a quintessential liberal man too. But he was that guy, and all the women loved him. Oh, he's so nice. Look at that smile. No, other dudes tracked him from the beginning. We're like, yeah, that dude is the captain of the basketball team who's an asshole, who's a total asshole. So what did Eric Swalwell do? He did some bad shit. And nobody is coming to his rescue, which should tell you that this is true. And not only that, but he immediately ended his life. Not his life metaphorically, ended his political life. First, Sunday, he suspended his campaign for governor, which meant this thing was serious and that nobody was going to rally to his defense. So he saw the writing on the wall. He knew that the California governor's race that I believe he was leading was now gone, but he still had his seat in Congress, and but no, last night he resigned his seat in Congress as well, because again, nobody is coming to his rescue. I think this is a self-cleansing within the Democratic Party. There's been all kinds of stories over the last few days about how people within the Democratic Party were quite concerned about Eric Swalwell's rise in the party, the influence that he would have, because even people within the party had always been like, yeah, he doesn't seem like a good person. But he goes on cable news and he smiles and he makes fun of Trump and he's handsome doing it. And a whole bunch of people were like, he seems great. I don't know. I mean, I had no knowledge of him that made me dislike him, but man, did he always just psychically rub me the wrong way. So anyway, he's gone, and he did some bad shit. He, I think, is a rapist. I think Eric Swalwell might be looking at some criminal charges, serious criminal charges. But not only the rape stuff. I don't want to get into that. You can go look into all of that, okay? His victims are speaking. They're speaking. They're going on CNN. They'll tell the stories. And there are multiple victims. But here's the thing that really defines Eric Swalwell to me. See, people always get twisted when I go for the very nuanced bit of information to sort of make my final thought. Like, for instance, this is the one I always go back to. People don't understand why I would be more hurt to see my wife holding hands with another man than I would seeing my wife kissing or making out drunkenly with another man. People are like, what? Making out is so much worse. No, it's not. Holding hands is intimate. Holding hands is what you do when you're trying to keep this passion between you a secret from other people. You hold hands under the table so that others don't know. If you're just making out with somebody, at that point, it's just animal sex. You're just trying to get off, and I can look through that. Holding hands is intimacy, right? All right, so that's just like one of those little nuances that I'd be far more hurt to find out that there was that level of intimacy going on than just, she fucked the pool guy. She was horny at noon and she fucked the pool guy. Okay, didn't know I married a slut, but I can get over that. I get it. We're all animals, and sexual, gratification is just an animal instinct. So, okay. But if I come around the corner at the Walmart and I see my wife and she's holding hands with another guy and then they suddenly stop holding hands, yeah, now I know something's going on. So, nuance. Eric Swalwell. I'm going to overlook the rape and all of that because the police, they will get to the bottom of that and we'll have all kinds of information. The most damning thing in the Eric Swalwell story for me is that he took dick pics and sent them to girls in his office. The level of arrogance on Eric Swalwell's part to think that he could get away with this in this day and age, that tells me way more than just, they got drunk and they were drinking and he took her back to the hotel room. And okay, again, criminal charges for that shit. Let the police do it. But as a human being, what tells me more information about Eric Swalwell than I'd ever had anywhere else is that he's a dick pic guy. That he's one of those guys that just sends pics of his dicks to girls without any explanation, thinking that they're going to respond with, be right over, daddy. That's who he is. And that's who I've always kind of tracked him to be. So I feel very good about that. All right. So that's Eric Swalwell. He's gone. His career is over. Goodbye. Goodbye. We need all new people, right? By the way, no big loss for the Democrats because, as I always say, the Democratic wing, if we're going to rise up anybody, it's got to be somebody brand new that nobody knows, because the right wing has been incredibly effective over the past 10 years of branding all of the best up-and-coming Democratic prospects. Everybody's branded. It's why I said we cannot go for Jasmine Crockett in the Texas Senate race. You got to go for Tallarico because Crockett's been branded. Fence sitters already have an opinion of her, right or wrong. You can't do it. Tallarico, no. People were allowed to make up their own mind. There was no branding. Swalwell's been branded. Swalwell has been branded for years by Fox News because of his endless hits on Trump and trolling posts and all that stuff. So good riddance. I don't need anybody that's already been effectively branded by the opposition being in that party. We need balance in these parties. We need to resume some kind of balance. So goodbye, Swalwell. Now let's move over to Texas side. The Republicans also within minutes of Swalwell announcing his resignation. Representative Tony Gonzalez from down there in Texas also finally decided to leave Congress. Now, his situation is the detail. Well, I mean, again, Eric Swalwell, I think there are rape charges coming, and I think that the details will be revealed. We'll find out what we need to find out about that. The Tony Gonzalez situation is that he was having an affair with one of his staffers. He broke off the affair with the staffer, and the staffer mentally spiraled over the course of about 9 months, culminating with the staffer lighting herself on fire in her backyard. Self-suicide by self-immolation. So that's what's going on in the life of Texas Republican Representative Tony Gonzalez. Tony Gonzalez is just a piece of shit who was, having an affair with one of his staffers, and then, he got to break it off because that's what guys do. Guys get tired of hitting it, and they hit it and quit it, and they move on. Well, apparently this staffer, she didn't take that well because boy, oh boy, she was sleeping secretly with the congressman. That's quite a thing. That makes her feel good. I bet she tells all her girlfriends about it, right? So he breaks it off with her, and apparently she was not mentally stable to begin with, which might be, one of the reasons why he targeted her. Because, trust me, guys see a weakness like that in a girl that's hot, and she's a very attractive one. She was a very attractive woman, young girl, and he did what asshole, predator, older guys do, manipulated a young woman. He got his rocks off, and then he moved on, and he didn't care about her, whatever. By the way, she was also married at the time, so he's breaking up her marriage. I don't know if is Tony Gonzalez married? Does it really matter? Anyway, the situation is different with Gonzalez than it is with Swalwell. Swalwell seems to be a monster. Tony Gonzalez just seems to be your garden variety asshole dude who broke up with the girl and then was like, "Leave me alone, you crazy stalker," and then she ended up setting herself on fire. He didn't set her on fire. And most of the reports and investigations that have been going on down there, they say that, Tony Gonzalez breaking up with her had very little to do with her spiral. Tony Gonzalez breaking up with her was just one more thing in this woman's life as she was spiraling down. Now, Gonzalez is an insensitive asshole who probably had no regard for her family or her mental well-being, and he just wanted to get his rocks off, as I said, and he did. And now he's paying the price for it. But it's a little different situation, I think, than Swalwell. Tony Gonzalez had an affair with a crazy woman who ended up killing herself, and that looks really bad for the congressman. Eric Swalwell apparently raped women. Now, these two stepping away from Congress within minutes of each other is not a coincidence. It was coordinated. And again, this is good. This shows that the higher-ups in the Republican Party and the higher-ups in the Democratic Party can sit around a table, and they did this at some point, and they decided, we need to get rid of this dead weight. Let's trade. Your guy will go. Our guy will go. That's what happened. And guys, I'm telling you, it's the most optimistic I have felt about this Congress ever. Because Trump wasn't involved in any of this. They're not involving Trump in this stuff. These were people looking at these were people in positions of power in both parties who were looking at the midterms and just trying to get rid of one for one each other's dead weight. And that's what they did. So Swalwell and Gonzalez, both of them are gone. Here, I guess we'll do this. Yeah, I suppose. Let's take a look at this is Gonzalez's victim. You can see Swalwell's victims. They're all over the place. A bunch of women. And, apparently he's a terrible, terrible guy. A monster, if you will. But again, here's Tony Gonzalez's victim. That was his staffer. He had an affair with her. Look, she looks like a lovely young woman. By all reports from even people close to her, she had fallen into a mental spiral before Tony Gonzalez broke up with her. In fact, and he can't say this, but I bet that's one of the reasons why he broke up with her. Her husband left her. This is her husband. Her husband found out about the affair with Representative Gonzalez, and he left her. And then 9 months later, she would kill herself. A lovely young woman with a little baby. And all right. Congressional staffer 35 dies after incident at home. Her mother recalls her haunting last words. See, this must be before the story came out. After an incident at home, she lit herself on fire in her backyard and then tried to put herself out with a garden hose. It's an incredibly... No, whoa, no, not that either. No sound effects. All right. Now, here's something else that's very exciting that we're going to get into. These two resignations, one from the Democrats and one from the Republicans, come on the day of a very new thing happening in Washington, D.C. And I think this is going to change a lot of stuff. I really do. I think this is going to be good. I think we're going to get rid of some really bad people who are in Congress, because yesterday, TMZ DC launched. That's right. TMZ has opened up an office in Washington, D.C., and they promise to teach, or they promise to treat the behaviors of members of Congress and elected officials and appointed representatives and stuff like that. They promise to treat all of these people in their failings the way they do Hollywood. Let's go. Let's go. Let's get rid of it. Let's find out everything about everybody, and let's get rid of all of the pieces of garbage. TMZ DC. Let's go. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I need another cup of coffee, and then I'm going to go to the bathroom, and we're going to get Maddie on here. Maddie and I are going to discuss what's going on with Mike Vrabel, head coach of the New England Patriots, and Diana Russini, formerly the NFL insider for The Athletic and the New York Times. We're going to talk about the latest there. And I wanted to have this conversation with a woman because, man, it's a complicated one. And there are a lot of moving parts. And it seems, when you take the 30,000-foot look at this story, it seems that Diana Russini is the only one who is being punished for this situation. I'm going to tell you why that's proper. I'm going to tell you why that's right and proper. And Maddie and I will get into that. Maddie's also got some stories on Hunter Biden. There's a lot going on with Hunter Biden. I've never done a Hunter Biden story on this show. I always thought it was pretty. I don't care about that guy. I don't care about some former president's dirtbag kid. What? Every president's got a dirtbag kid, right? Well, let's go back. Obama doesn't. Obama. Those are good young ladies. How can you say that, Pogs? Because they're fucking really good, impressive young ladies. Bush twins. Bush twins are cool. You see Jenna Bush is on the Today Show all the time. She's good. I think they're priming her to be the new Savannah. I do. Barbara Bush, Jenna Bush's, are they twins? The Bush twins? They were called the Bush twins, but I'm not sure they're actually twins. Aren't they maybe like a year apart or whatever? Anyway, Barbara Bush, I met her. I tell that story all the time. Barbara Bush, Babs, I don't know what we call her. She's like the young one, the young Bush daughter. Pretty one with dark hair. One Bush daughter, the one that's on today's show, has blonde hair, and then the other Bush daughter has dark hair. Anyway, Easter morning, 2011. I was over at a park in Highland Park, and me and my kid, Lil Mace, he was like 2 years old or something. We were feeding ducks, and it was early in the morning, and here comes the presidential motorcade, and it's the Bush kid just coming out to jog. Seriously, it was just me, my kid, and the president's daughter. And she walked up and she said hi to my kid. And she was like, "He's so cute." And I'm like, "You're the president's daughter." And then she went for a jog. And you know what's really cool? The Secret Service jogged with her. Yeah. It was like two girls. It was two Secret Service girls. Isn't that interesting too, that they assigned two girls to be with her? And they were like young girls. So I guess that's so that they could blend in. But yeah, they jogged behind her. It's cool. Anyway, and they weren't even president, right? I think that was during Obama. So they weren't even still president. All right. I don't know what I did. Anyway, all the presidents have probably some kind of dirtbag kid. We know the Kennedys do. The Kennedys got dirtbag kids all over the place. We know the Reagans do. The Reagans got dirtbag kids, dirtbag cousins. Who else got dirtbag kids? Clinton? Now, Chelsea's pretty good, right? Chelsea's never embarrassed them. Amy Carter, Amy never embarrassed them, did they? No. All right, anyway. It's enough. It's enough. Trump's got dirtbag kids. We know that. Trump's got real dirtbag kids. All right, so we'll do that. We'll take a quick break. I'll get my coffee refilled. One more time. I do want to thank Barney. Barney is our executive producer of today's show. Thank you, Barney. Barney was the only guy who tipped yesterday. Terrible, terrible start to this extended pledge week, but I know you guys are tapped out, and I'm tapped out, and this show's tapped out. That's just how it goes. And I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means, but I do know that I do know that I've got a lot to think about. All right. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame class is still coming, a whole bunch of other stuff. So give me a quick break, coffee, bathroom. Thank you to Barney. Barney is our executive producer. If you want to be tomorrow's executive producer, drop a little something, either Venmo or the Cash App. That'd be great. Thank you so much. Back after this and more show. We got a lot of show. Robbie, my buddy Rob. I got to hook up with my buddy Rob. I don't know if he's in the chat room. We're going to hook up with Rob today, or at least we plan to. Rob and I are trying to get something done, and schedules are what they are. Rob, it's probably going to be past 2:30, brother. I'm probably going to go just a little bit long. Quick break. I'll be back after this, okay? Back after this. All right, here we go. We are back. All right, responding to Rob. Rob, let's do tomorrow. That's Rob. Before I went on that break, I'm like, I got to get out of here. And I said, Rob, let's push it a little bit today. And now he's like, let's do tomorrow. And that is fine with me. Tomorrow works actually better. So thank you, Rob. Rob and I make ourselves available to each other just about every day. But something comes up and then we have to push it to the next day. So thank you, Rob. Now, fun. Which kitty is Rob? Rob's a tremendous musical artist. Also I need to mention, so Rob texted me when I went into that break and he said what he just said right there. Let's do tomorrow. Our little meeting, our little post show, little thing we were going to do. He said, let's do tomorrow. And I texted him back. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. And like, cause Rob is also a fan of the Chicago White Sox. So then I just start getting all White Sox gay on Rob. I'm like, yeah, man, no good. I want to go home. It's Noah Schultz Day. I want to get all ready. You want to know what I mean when I say I want to get all ready? Well, you see, on the station that airs the Chicago White Sox game tonight at 7 o'clock, at around 4 o'clock, they're going to replay Noah Schultz's last AAA start from just over the weekend. I think it was Friday, actually, where he just crushed. So I want to get home and I want to watch that. I want to watch his last AAA minor league start, and then I will watch the debut. So this is a tradition, you know. Great. Well, I mean, what are you going to say? I can remember watching great pitching. It's got to be a baseball thing, right? Like maybe if you're not a baseball fan, then this means nothing to you. But, you know, if you are a baseball fan, you do know, you keep track of your team's prospects, your team's arms, and you watch them from the draft. We took this kid out of high school. Oh, he's 18. All right, we'll see him in 5 years. And then you watch him over those 5 years go through the minors, and either he rises in the prospects or drops. Noah Schultz is a guy who is local, and we've been watching him, and we've been waiting for him, and we're getting him today. And like I said, I remember Blackjack McDowell is one of my favorite Chicago White Sox pitchers of all time. He goes back to the early 90s. Cy Young Award winner, Blackjack McDowell. He was an alt rocker too. Like that's what we thought was so cool. Blackjack was like this ace for the White Sox, who were a really good team back then. And then at night he would play at like a bar. You'd go see like him as the lead singer. Anyway, I love Blackjack. But I remember watching Blackjack's debut with my grandpa, who's no longer with us. I remember sitting there at the table, and he was very excited. He's like, oh, this Blackjack, he's supposed to have some stuff. And I'm like, I can also remember two instances recently. The debut of Michael Kopech, who we were very excited about. That did not go well for us. And Kopech, I don't think he even has a team now. Like 10 years later, I don't think he's even on a team. Anyway. But then just a few years back, Dylan Cease, who is a hell of a pitcher. He's a really good pitcher. Dylan Cease made his debut for the White Sox. And I forced my son, Mason, who at this time was probably, if he's 16 now, he was probably 11 or 12 when Dylan Cease made his debut. And I remember sitting on the couch, watching it with, I don't know, it's just like, it's a baseball thing, baseball and family and connection. So I'm sorry, I accidentally texted Adam all of my, White Sox. It's Noah Schultz Day. All right, but we will focus. We're going to talk to Maddie here. Maddie, we usually do like Maddie on a Monday, Maddie on a Wednesday, Maddie whenever Maddie wants to come on by. But Maddie, regardless what day, it's always what's on Maddie's mind. And I want to get into some stuff with her. I need a woman to talk to about this stuff because when a guy just says it without allowing a woman to counter back or at least question the motivation for what I'm saying, it just comes off terrible. So I know that Maddie can handle her own. So let's do this with Maddie. We're going to talk about Vrabel and Russini. We're going to talk about, she's got some information on Hunter Biden. She's also going to tell us all about the DoorDash grandma, all of that. Hi, Maddie.
Heidi ho. Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday to you. Sorry about the lateness, but I don't know. I'm so undisciplined. Okay, let's get into it. So the first thing that I want to talk to you about, I've been teasing this because I wanted to do this as a standalone story, but I thought, you know what, let's bring Maddie on this. Are you familiar with what's going on with Mike Vrabel and Diana Russini?
To a point, yeah. I've been listening to your coverage of it. I understand, I think, the basic framework of what's happening there.
Yes, two people, two high profile people are sexually attracted to each other, and they hooked up at a beautiful adults only resort in Sedona. They happen to be married to other people, so that's a problem. But really, from the very beginning, I told you that this is silly because one, this isn't real news. Everybody's talking about, in the very beginning, it was about journalistic standards. It's now back to being about journalistic standards, but in between, for the past week and a half, it's just been all about gossip and who's sleeping with who, and all of that stuff, those purient things that we love. Again, my take on football journalism is that it's entertainment journalism. Okay. This isn't, investigating what's going on in the Middle East or, this is not real world stuff. It's a distraction. It's sports. It's entertainment. So when people were getting all puffy about journalistic integrity and all that, I initially was a little bit, nah, that's stupid. We can't hold Diana Russini to the same standard that we would hold somebody who's up for a Peabody or a Pulitzer. It's just not the same arena. So I pushed back a little bit about the importance, and I chastised everybody talking about this story that you're just being gossip hounds. Leave the story alone. Well, here we are like a week later, 10 days later, and I can't leave the story alone.
Okay.
Because it is now taking on some other interesting angles, like the blowback. We now see the blowback from this. Again, Mike Vrabel is married. He is the head coach of the New England Patriots. Diana Russini is married. She is the lead NFL insider for The Athletic and the New York Times. Very big posts for both of them, okay? At least insofar as the universe of the NFL is concerned. Those are big posts. Those are known people, okay? So it's not like there is necessarily a power imbalance, right? The way you would see with some of these situations where it's a man and a woman, where there's obviously a boss and I guess you can say that Diana Russini is might be looking for information, but that wouldn't make her a supplicant. That would make her an investigative journalist, and she's using whatever she can to get the information she wants. So the idea of just saying that there is nothing here, when I originally addressed this story, I was wrong, because I do now believe that there is something here, because Diana Rossini's career is over. Diana Russini has been fired by The Athletic.
Really?
Oh, yeah. She's been fired by The Athletic. The parent company, the New York Times, has taken her off of their NFL coverage as well. She did extensive coverage for them, but she was primarily The Athletic's NFL insider. Her career is over, and Mike Vrabel just took his team to the Super Bowl. So, he's prepping for the draft. He isn't even remotely worried about this. I want to know what you think of this. I want to hear you stretch out a little bit. She is being professionally damaged. Over. Her career is over. She's
the sacrificial lamb in this scenario.
She is being ended.
Yeah.
He is not being ended. They both had an affair. I'd love to hear your take on this.
I mean, my most obvious take here is that in the world that we function in, I'm not surprised that the woman is taking the fall. I mean, we have seen bad behavior, especially in the sports world, and very predominantly, a lot of NFL, but we've seen it in NBA, to a lesser extent in some less, I guess, profitable sporting areas. But I mean, look at like a Brett Favre, who can send out dick pics and keep his name and his career. It's unsurprising to me that Vrabel gets to continue to be a Vrabel, and Diana has to be the sacrificial lamb, because if somebody has to die, who is it going to be?
Okay, we do like a very, we like an end result. We like somebody to be the winner and somebody to be the loser, because we don't do nuance. Complication bores us, and we like to have everything black and white. So I understand that. But let me follow up with something that you said there. Let me ask you this. You said that it's bad behavior, right? This is bad. Is the bad behavior, is it equal among Diana Russini and Mike Vrabel? They're both married. They're both cheating on their spouses. So I might argue that in that respect, their bad behavior is equal. But what about as far as reflection on their professional jobs? I mean, is the bad behavior the same? Did Mike Vrabel do something as wrong as Diana Russini did professionally?
I think it's an ethical and moral question. So if what you're positing is that she should have had known better because her job requires her to be held to a higher moral or ethical standard, then you are assigning a larger amount of responsibility to her with somebody on the other side of this who did the same amount of thing, which I could also argue that he is the head coach of a organization that has men at the forefront, that he should also be an exemplary standard being set for moral and ethical behavior. I mean, we have seen coaches who have crossed these boundaries before. Urban Meyers and people of this sort that have greased the wheels for players to get special privileges, get out of jail, and all kinds of things. And we have routinely overlooked this because they were winners or whatever thing.
Yeah, that plays
Is
into
it
it a
something
lot.
we should do? Or is it, so if it's a moral boundary, then it's a moral boundary for all, or it's a moral boundary for none?
If Mike Vrabel wasn't Mike Vrabel and he was a lesser coach, I think that there might be some kind of repercussion just because the franchise would be trying to appease the court of public opinion. Damage control for the brand, protect the brand. The number one mantra of the NFL universe is protect the shield. The shield is, of course, the brand, the trademark of the NFL shield. Protect the shield. Nothing damages the shield. So you could probably make a case that Mike Vrabel's marital infidelity being made public like this damages the brand of the shield. However, here is where I kind of think that this is very complicated, but also just. What Mike Vrabel did was he cheated on his wife. This is how I see it, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to push back. Mike Vrabel cheated on his wife. He's a dick. And, any faithful man can look at that and go, yeah, he's one of those guys. There's plenty of those guys. They're assholes.
He shouldn't have did that.
Shouldn't have done it. But you know what? Honestly, I got to believe 6.5 out of 10 husbands will cheat if they get the opportunity.
Or NFL head coaches given the opportunity. Right.
Oh, it's the God complex. I mean, doctors, lawyers, NFL coaches.
Men in position of power who have the ability to do things and get away with it.
Yes. I mean, and this goes all the way to high school football coaches. Whatever your personal universe is, if you are a deity in your personal universe, you will be tempted to get away with things. You will be tempted to do things that, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. However, what Mike Vrabel did, all of the bad behaviors assigned to him are personal. It's a bad look for, the team that they hire a coach who's marital, cheats on his wife and all that. But again, that's not a deal breaker. What Diana Russini did was damage the brand of The Athletic. She is the NFL insider. Now, NFL insider, and maybe you're unfamiliar with this, but an NFL insider is a class of person within the world of NFL coverage. An NFL insider has a very intimate and personal role with getting information that general managers and front offices do not want out there. And they get this information through their long-standing relationships with players. You said something to me this morning. You said, like an NFL insider, they'll get a piece of information or they'll overhear something in the locker room. And I'm like, no, the NFL insiders are in the fucking hot tub with the players. The NFL insiders are a weird class that has totally blurred the line between what is thought to be traditional journalistic ethics and the endless fucking feeding frenzy to get clicks on Twitter with breaking news. So she is a part of a new class that journalism and NFL football is the canary in the coal mine. She's a part of a new class that for years now have been blurring the line between subject and journalist. It's like they're friends. So this looks really bad for The Athletic for a couple of reasons. One, The Athletic is very femme forward. The Athletic has always gone above and beyond hiring women, promoting women, making women, big parts of their brand.
Okay.
It's the whole New York Times ethos. New York Times isn't trying to be looked at as a boys' club. They're pretty progressive minded in those areas. So what she has done now by sleeping with Mike Vrabel has set back every woman. And I have a lot of friends who are women sports journalists, and I can tell you, I haven't talked to any of them about this, but whether it's Peggy Kaczynski or Leila Rahimi or any of these people who are really good, I'm sure that they are fucking pissed at Diana Russini. And I think that's why she's getting in trouble. Mike Vrabel should get divorced. His wife should leave him and take everything. But as far as like Mike Vrabel, I don't know that he really did anything against the brand other than just being a guy who likes to cheat on his wife. And that's not new.
So I see what you're saying here. I see what you're saying now to me, that I'm understanding that you're saying is that Vrabel did what we could all agree is something we have seen. We might not think it's a great thing that he did, but his transgression is on the normal side of regular. Yet what Diana Rossini did was she crossed a line that now frames the entire position and participation of women in this insider category who are basically let me see, how do I analogy on it. So you're given the keys to the kingdom. You're supposed to respect the fact that you've been given the keys to the kingdom, and we're going to put you in some precarious positions while you're in the keys to the kingdom, but don't you dare abuse your position of the keys to the kingdom.
Yes, and I also think that it's it's a catch-22. It is a catch-22, and
it's a catch-22.
And why I said if you were looking this at 30,000 feet, you'll go, well, why is she getting blamed and not him? But when you zoom in and you look at the actual transgression, not the gossipy aspects of it, but what this means for women who are in locker rooms and women who are on the sideline, who for years have had to overcome the idea, you know, the drunk guy in the bar going, she's just fucked her way into that, and now you've got Diana Russini, one of the highest perched people, and she is literally fucking one of her sources, and they're lying about it. That's why. And I was raised by a single mom. I am a feminist male. I believe that women can do absolutely everything that men can do, but this is a Jackie Robinson situation. This is like where Jackie Robinson had to do absolutely everything perfectly. Jackie Robinson couldn't raise his hand to a woman. Jackie Robinson couldn't get a DUI. Jackie Robinson couldn't, you know what I mean? Jackie Robinson had to represent every black person. At least that's how we deify him. He had to be better than everybody else. Diana Russini, I'm not saying it's the same thing, because women have, if you look at women in football, look at where it started. Do you know who the first woman that they put on TV to represent the NFL view of females? Miss America. The very first NFL female pundit was the reigning Miss America. So that shows where it started. Women were sexualized from yes, absolutely. 1979. Pamela Brown.
We can all agree the NFL is largely a patriarchy. I mean, look at how
hold on, wait, stop. Let me finish my thought. Hold on, because I'm finishing my thought on this. So the NFL's very first woman that they put on TV, and I don't think a lot of people know this, is Pamela Brown of CNN's mom, Phyllis George, the former Miss America, who then left the NFL. She left her position as that to go marry the governor of Kentucky. Okay, so from the very beginning, the NFL has never been really about forwarding women in their place in the sport.
Window dressing.
From the beginning, it was just exploit hot chicks so that dudes will watch. All right.
Window dressing.
And they've spent 30 years overcoming that with incredible women doing great work in the NFL journalism universe. And now Diana Russini has sort of reminded everybody that, oh yeah, if they really need a story, they can just blow a guy, which sets women back.
It does. No, I don't disagree with you. I for sure don't disagree with the idea that you're bringing to the table. You know, people be people, and man,
I would just like to see, instead of women rallying to her and saying that, you know, she's being unfairly persecuted. Why is he being persecuted? I would like to see more women go, no, she blew it. She blew it. She did the one thing that she couldn't do. But women aren't doing that.
It's unfair. Let's point out the obvious things here. It is 100% unfair. And I don't always like, and not just in sports, but I think it shows a dichotomy across any industry where women who achieve a position are always matched at an a different expectation, right? Like I could also probably point out, if I did some research on this, how male CEOs are allowed to get away with things that female CEOs aren't allowed to get away with, right? Like I think it's a consistent expectation across. Well, if you want to be here and you want to play in the ball pin with the big boys, then the big boys are going to do what the big boys do, but you better not do it, because if you do it, then we're going to get you, right?
They're just a sex object argument is never applied to the men when they have a failing, if you're talking about the CEO realm. But whenever a female CEO, ends up in some kind of, this scandal like this, a sexual, it's always gets reduced to, well, they're all just sleeping their way to the top anyway. It's different and it's not fair, but the world isn't fair.
Truly. I mean, we certainly fall down to that for sure. I mean, it is no different if we compare this to political talk. Harris was, derided for having had some sort of a sexual relationship with some inconsequential mayor of some city, saying that that's how she got to where she was. Yet at the same time, Donald Trump has had multiple affairs with any people, paid off people in the process, and blah, blah, blah. Right. Yet it mattered not.
You overlook it because, again, the sex object thing is never hung on a man. Adam in the chat room says, people are people. Actually, let me read Adam. He says, people are also people. We don't know the whole story. Could be a genuine love thing. Could be a tit for tat thing. This is more important to the journalistic integrity part. I don't give a shit if it's a love thing. If it's a love thing, she needs to resign her position and she can no longer present herself as a, NFL insider. If it's a love thing, then good for her. I hope she, finds happiness. We can't judge that. People break up and leave their spouses all the time for other people. But the fact of the matter is, Adam, the New York Times and the Athletic don't give a shit about that. All they give a shit about is that one of their reporters is now looking like she's sleeping her way into information. That's all that matters. I get what Adam is saying, but it's two different things. We, the people, the court of public opinion, can come down on the side of, well, it's just love and isn't that beautiful? The New York Times and the Athletic, they have different priorities when it comes to the people that they put out in the field. Hey, I want to switch subjects though, Maddie. Let's get into, what do you want to do? You want to do DoorDash Lady first, or you want to do Hunter Biden?
I think we should do Hunter Biden.
Hit me.
Hunter Biden. Okay, so we haven't heard much from old Hunter. When we talked about this earlier, you even said something to me about, I thought he was out of the country. We're actually not even really sure where he's at. I did some research into that after you said that, and as best I could come up with is that we think he's somewhere around Cape Town, South Africa.
What's he doing there?
Hiding from debt.
Yeah.
He owes $17 million. So anyway,
who does he owe? Do we know who does he owe $70 million to? Like Citibank? Like what is it? Credit cards?
A variety of things. We operated a hedge fund. He came under fire. He got sued a bunch of times. I mean, it's a myriad of things. Basically, I think he owes his lawyers a fuck ton of money.
Can we just hold on before you get into this? Let me just tell you my opinion on Hunter Biden. Look, he's just a fool. That's all. He's just a rich kid, privileged kid.
He's a dirtbag kid of a president.
That's
we all know that they're all out there. But the interesting part of this story comes into play because this particular dirtbag kid of president is squaring off with two other dirtbag kids of a current president. He has challenged Don Jr. and Eric to a cage match.
Yeah, I saw this. This was going around about a week ago or so. So
yeah.
While is he tweeting these challenges from Cape Town while Hunter?
Yeah.
See now again, because we know Hunter Biden's in debt. This seems very desperate and sad because there is no way in hell the Trump boys would take him up on this. This is a desperate and pathetic. And
they haven't even responded to it.
Yeah, of course they haven't. And by the way, the Trump boys should be pointed out. They're no strangers to the world of MMA. They have their own MMA team that they're now. I don't know if you saw this. There's a news story just yesterday that Trump, Don Jr., a Don Jr. Company is now sending MMA fighters to the Pentagon to train everybody how to do that.
I saw that.
So Don Jr. and them, I mean, they're in the MMA world. I mean,
Trump loves fighting.
Yeah, Trump was just
Trump's
at
all
the
up in the
UFC.
fight shit. That's
Right.
why he was hanging out with Logan Paul, and he's all up in the fight
Right.
thing. He was just at some sort of fight this past weekend where conceivably he was complimenting one of the fighters on his good looks. I mean, what have you? But
could you imagine this bitch slap fight between these two silver spoon princes of privilege? I swear to God, that neither of these guys can fight
with their spray tans,
right,
bleeding off their faces. It's silly. But here's the truth. I had to dig a little further than what it appears like on its face, which is that Hunter from Cape Town, South Africa, has thrown down some gauntlet to the Trump boys. You know, like what in defense of his father. All of a sudden, that Trump loves to drag up in every fucking conversation possible. What about Biden? Biden did this. I mean, even at the Easter thing, he's talking to the auto pin. Nope, nothing to do with that. So basically what I figured out is through some research is that Andrew Callahan, I don't know if you remember that name, but a couple of weeks ago, we brought his name up lightly into a conversation about Shia LaBeouf. He is a YouTuber, podcaster, from New Orleans. He has a channel called C5 or Channel 5. And so Andrew Callahan hosts an annual event. It's called the C5 Carnival, and it's about to be making its way through the United States. It has a 31 stop tour, and it's a multimedia event. It includes documentary screenings, live Q&As, talent shows, rap battles, all manner of things. You and I both know that this is nothing more than for the gram, for the clicks, for the engagement, for the money. And Hunter Biden is making a special appearance. He has come back and forth to the United States a couple times. I'm sure he doesn't stay long because he doesn't want any creditors knocking on his door looking for money. But he, in an interview with Andrew Callahan, where Andrew Callahan was saying, hey, we're going to have a special appearance from Hunter Biden. Then Hunter Biden threw this challenge down, and Andrew Callahan said, I'm not sure if this is going to happen, but if this does wind up happening, I will produce said cage match with a Hunter Biden and a Don Jr. or an Eric Trump, because why the fuck wouldn't he? Because he knows that'll make him a fucking famous motherfucker.
It's never going to happen, but it will get a cycle of push virally, and there'll be attention to the people involved. So, why wouldn't he say it'll never? Yeah.
Of course, if you called me tomorrow and said, hey, I want to challenge fucking Tiger Woods to a cage match after he gets out of rehab in Switzerland, I'd be like, fuck yeah.
I'll promote that. Write me a check to promote it. I need a check for 10 million, and I'll promote the shit out of that thing. That'll never happen.
People will love it. It'll be great.
Oh, we'll get so many clicks. It'll never happen. We'll get so many clicks though.
Yeah. Can we invite Britney Spears to it and invite her after she gets out of fucking rehab too? Then can we go ahead and get Shia LaBeouf in the mix? Let's call it the rehab cage match. Let's fucking do it. Here's the spin. You're gonna fight every single fucking famous person who just got out of rehab.
Hold on, let me call out Barney. Barney's in the chat room. Barney, on the subject of Hunter Biden, Barney says this particular dirtbag used his father's influence to get permission to sell technology to China that the CCP used to develop hypersonic missiles. No, he didn't. All right, that's all. That's the only way I can respond to these people now. No, he didn't. But that's fine, Barney. That's cool. Alex Jones or wherever the fuck. It's cool. I'm just so tired of this nonsense.
We don't have to get into the dirtbag sons of presidents who are out there making millions on whatever the fuck they're making millions on, for fuck's sake.
Barney, today's executive producer, voted for Trump 3 times. He's got no issue with those dirtbag kids. But he's going to believe this.
Dirtbag for a reason. Okay, he's fucking dirtbag, but let's not negate the fact that this dirtbag is trying to fight 2 other dirtbags, and if it happens in real time, it's going to be a fucking sellout.
Well, if it does happen, it won't happen. All right, so now let's talk about the other weird-ass story from the president yesterday. While he's going to war with the leader of 1.5 billion people globally, he's threatened to choke off the globe's oil supply. I don't know. He's got so many things going on. So in the middle of all that, he stages a little stunt to get us all. What did he think? We were going to be distracted by the fight with Leo or the situation in Iran? Tell us about the stunt yesterday.
Yeah, so after the three massive L's that the administration took over the weekend, he took 2 black guys and some body blows and got some fucking broken ribs behind Orban's loss, behind the Iran bullshit, and behind the fight with the Pope. They trotted out some, some fodder for the stupids to make, oh, let's talk about this great thing that's happening right now. And apparently the White House ordered some DoorDash, some McDonald's,
of course.
He loves McDonald's. I don't know if you know this, but his McDonald's order is 2 Big Macs, 2 Filet-O-Fish, and a chocolate shake.
That's his McDonald's order?
That's his McDonald's order. He eats that every day. And that's not from me. That's from RFK Jr.
No,
RFK Jr.
He can't eat that every day. You can't eat that every
literally
day.
what the insiders know is that he eats 2 Big Macs, 2 Filet-O-Fish, and a chocolate shake every day.
First of all, that's obviously not true. You want to know how that's not true? Because you can't get a fucking McDonald's chocolate shake every day. And anybody who's ever actually been to a McDonald's knows that. Because that machine's always broken.
Are you suggesting that the president of the United States can't get a chocolate milkshake from a McDonald's?
Nah, I bet he can. I bet they clean it and fix it for him. By the way,
drive down the street to the Wendy's and put a Frosty in a
McDonald's cup.
They're
He'll never
fucking
know.
doing it.
Let me tell you something, because I worked at McDonald's. Let's address this for a minute. I worked at McDonald's for a kid. Do you know that those machines, they're never broken? They're never broken. They tell you it's broken or they tell you it's down.
Motherfucker. Yeah.
It's just that they just cleaned it. They just cleaned it and they don't want to use it right now. So they're going to tell your fat ass that you can't have your milkshake. It's a lie. Everything's a lie. Can't use your phone on an airplane. Yes, you can. Stop it. Everything's a lie. Everything's a lie.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So tell me about the DoorDash thing. He's doing bits. Trump's out there doing bits as MAGA burns. He's got the DoorDash lady showing up.
Wanted some good press, so they staged, and now of course people dug into this, and it was fully staged. DoorDash grandma, otherwise known as Sharon Simmons, came all the way from Arkansas to deliver the president's McDonald's order from DoorDash.
Hey, I used to deliver food, man. That's an extra delivery charge. That is going to be added to the total.
That's going to be a fucking high ass bill. That's for damn sure. So they flew her in all the way from Arkansas, and set up this little meet and greet right there on the side lawn or whatever. She shows up. Donald Trump says, "Does this look too staged?" Of course, the press is there, because that's not ever staged. And because I know when my DoorDash order arrives, I have 3 or 4 reporters standing outside waiting to see what I say. But so he launches into this, hey, thank you so much for bringing my DoorDash. Appreciate you. And then apparently launches into some direct communication with her, tell me your name, tell me why you're here, blah, blah, blah. And she's there and obviously has been, prepped for simply the conversation about the no tax on tips that she is obviously has a direct experience with, and says that this has benefited her greatly over the last year, that she has a husband that's dying of cancer, and that's has saved her $11,000 in taxes and yada, yada, yada. And that's all she's ready for, right? So, but Trump being Trump decides to throw this poor lady a couple of curveballs and offers her up to the press and says, do you mind taking a few questions from the press? Can we do this right now? And she says, okay. Not before, of course, asking her if she voted for him, or something. Sorry, he says, and I'm sure you voted for me. To which her response was, maybe.
Maybe. None of your business. Now, this woman who is obviously now, it's been proven she is a shill that they use for multiple things. Whenever MAGA needs to represent some cool ass granny with an arm tat, they troll her out.
Yeah.
And
throw let's put her on Air Force One and bring her on up and let her go put the T-shirt on. Obviously, some made up bullshit. I'm sure she drives her DoorDash. I guess I don't know. Maybe she does. Maybe she doesn't. But for fuck's sake, what are we doing here?
Right. This isn't organic. This isn't real. He tipped her $100 in a staged event in front of the press. I need to know, did he ask for it back? Did he get the $100? When she got on the plane, seriously, when they're flying her back home, when the person dropped her off, whoever organized this, when that person dropped her off at the airport and was like,
we're going to need that back.
Yes. Did they say, can we have that $100 back? Because I would not put it past them.
Well, and that was also part of the conversation because the reporter asked if this was something she does often. She says, no, this is obviously the most high profile client I've ever delivered DoorDash to. And the press asked her if they were good tippers. And she said, well, that remains to be seen. At which point then Trump reached into his pocket and pulled out the $100 bill. So, it's all crazy to me. But so anyway, they turned to the press. And of course, Trump immediately redirects the conversation over into other areas. He gets asked about the priestly robe picture that he then says, oh, that was me being a doctor, which, by the way, I did want to mention to you that I am too, sitting in my Jesus robes right now that I truly believe make me look like a real estate agent. Just wanted to let you know that. And then, and so he deflects off of that and then steers the conversation in the direction of men playing in women's sports, which he assumes that she's going to defend his position on, to which she responds, I don't really have an opinion on that.
I got that video. That video is up here. We're going to watch this. This is why this woman, who apparently has been a good soldier for MAGA propaganda over the years, she probably won't get hired again because she went a little rogue on the president. And by the way, let me point out to you the story I did earlier about the United Kingdom and their concerns about the president of the United States putting their king in a weird, awkward situation where the king is going to have to decide, is he going to push back against the president of the United States or is he going to suck it up and look like a bitch, right? That's what the people in England are really concerned about. That is exactly what's happening here. The people in England are afraid of happening to their king exactly what is happening to this DoorDash woman. This DoorDash woman is now being roped into shit that she didn't sign up to opine on.
Right.
And here's her answer. This is from yesterday.
They want to have men playing in women's sport. Do you think that men should play in women's sports?
I really don't have an opinion on that.
You don't? I'll bet you do.
No, I'm here about no tax on tips.
Yeah.
She has more sense.
Men playing in women's sports.
She has more sense than the president of the United States. She knew not to get roped into that, and she brought it right back to why she's there.
Tired to talk about tax on tips. I'm sticking to the script.
Good for her, man. That is not a dumb lady. That lady in that moment knew exactly what the mission was, and she stayed on it. She
unwilling to sacrifice herself to tread off into fucking murky water behind some other bullshit that she knew that could potentially backlash on her with her job, with her fucking ability to continue to get tips from DoorDashers or any other thing. Good for her, 100%.
That answer from her means that they will recast. There will be somebody new the next time one of these stunts come up. They'll recast. And it also means that whoever the person was in charge of firing her or finding her has been fired. I promise you. That person who put that lady there, who disagreed with the president on the whole trans thing, that person is fired and been replaced. And as I said, we'll have Stephen Miller's aunt playing whoever this person is for the next round of these bullshit fucking propaganda pieces they do. All right, Maddie, let's wrap it up. You got anything else? Anything you want to end with?
No, like I said, that was it. I thought those were interesting. I thought the Hunter Biden stuff was funny. I thought the DoorDash grandma was great. Like I said, I'm not, obviously she's some level of MAGA, but you know what? Good for her. Good for her standing her ground. Good for her sticking to the script. I think the only thing I'd like to tack onto that story is that I also find it utterly ridiculous and utterly ironic that the administration would roll out this poor older lady who is paying for her husband's cancer treatment by DoorDashing as a one for the W column.
Yeah. And nobody look, and it was obviously poorly timed. I mean, considering the events circulating in the White House yesterday, they should have
the level
canceled.
of depravity
They
that
should
we're
have
talking
canceled it.
about here.
They should have canceled it. They should have said, you know what? The president should be seen today as somebody who is out of the public eye and diligently working on all the world's problems that he's created, not doing bits.
Yeah.
Like,
you got 2 black eyes and some broken ribs. Let's go ahead and fracture the femur while we're at it. Let's kill it in its entirety. And look, and the irony of that was not lost on the general populace, who, even if they could have been upset about, whatever this was meant to look like, dug deeper behind the actual meaning and saw. But the real tragedy here is that this older retired woman who has been denied health care, who has been denied, any level of federal assistance, is literally driving for DoorDash to pay for her husband's cancer treatment, if we are to assume that this story is true in its entirety. And it's just, again, the complete lack of understanding of what your real job is, number one, and number two, what you really think people's perception of that is.
Yeah, another thing that I wanted to mention with you here, and I don't see it. I'm trying to find pictures of it, but did you notice? Maybe if I pull up this video again, maybe we'll be able to see it. Did you notice? Okay, so she came, theoretically, DoorDashers can walk right across the lawn, right to the side door of the Oval Office.
Right.
Like, we're supposed to believe that. But did you notice, and this is the very first thing that I noticed, because I saw the video circulating and I thought it was a joke, because, fat President McDonald's door dashing during this time of crisis. So I only saw it very briefly. And I thought it was a joke. I thought it was AI slop, because I didn't recognize the outside of the Oval Office. Did this guy put like gold molding over everything so that it looks like a fucking spa at a Four Seasons resort? It is grotesque.
That gold foil lettering that's right outside the door that says Oval Office. Yeah, he just added that about a month ago, as he's been doing this redecorating
It
thing.
is so tacky. It is so ugly. It is so Gilded Age.
Way to go for if any terrorists might be questioning exactly which door leads to the Oval Office. Way to go. Give them the bullseye.
whoever the next president is, and it doesn't matter if it's a Republican or a Democrat, that's coming off. Those people are coming
all
off.
All of it's coming off. All of it's coming down. It has
so
become
ugly,
so overblown and over tacky, and now we've got a triumphant arch going up.
That is not the way the people's house is to be depicted for its temporary resident. It is not a palace at Versailles. It is the people's house, and it looks ugly, tacky, embarrassing. Oh, everything about this guy irritates me.
But he owns hotels, and so everything the world that he functions in is hotel, and so therefore, if it doesn't have a hotel element to it, it's not happening. It's just like, I don't know if you saw this about a week or so ago, but the presidential library is a thing, and all presidents have some sort of a library that come about after their presidency. Well, those are normally libraries, just regular fucking libraries. And he's got some land that's been donated to him from Coral Gables, maybe Florida or something like that. And he's already talking about what he's going to build there. And it's going to be a fucking hotel with a library inside of it.
Yeah, of course. He's gonna lease out everything.
Build anything but fucking hotels.
All right, so here, just in case my computer is really being bad right now. All right, on the screen there, I can't make the picture bigger, but you can see it. You can see right there. He's got in gold lame the Oval Office. Like, that needs to be announced like you're some tourist looking for the spa. This is absurd.
But it's a bullseye. Like I said, can you imagine the Secret Service, who is supposed to be, they're the ones that create all of these plans and how they're going to protect the president. And they have all these strategic plans. This is how we get him out of this situation. This is how we get. And so every change, everything that's ever gets done with anything that has to do with the president or their residents always has to be floated through Secret Service, because it's ultimately comes down to the Secret Service to figure out how to protect this particular area. So if they make a change and there's too many windows, they got to know this or that, the other. Can you imagine what the Secret Service said? Well, President, Mr. President, maybe announcing exactly where your always location is inside this particular building. It's not a great idea security wise, and him just going, I don't care, I want my gold letters outside the door.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I don't think that's a real concern. I think it's just him trying to show off. It's him being tacky and scoreboarding people. The Oval Office where the president is, it's obviously got to be gold because the president is a king. No! The president is a temporary administrator of the people's government. That's all the president is. Can we get back to that? All right. All right, Maddie. Thank you. Find some new stuff and we'll talk to you in a day or two, okay?
Sounds good.
All right, there she goes. That's Maddie. She joins us a couple of times a week just because I need somebody to talk to, and I always enjoy talking to Maddie. All right, let's see here. What else do we have? All right, let's loosen things up a little bit, because here's a topic that I was always interested in. As a matter of fact, when I saw this last night, when I saw this story come across, I went, oh, tomorrow's going to be that day of the year. Yay! And I like that day of the year. Now, what am I talking about? What is that day of the year? Well, it's the day that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame announces their new class. A couple weeks ago, maybe even a couple months ago at this point, I'm not sure. Everything blends together. A couple weeks ago, we went through the entire list of people who were eligible for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We went through it, and I made my predictions, and I said, well, they're in, they're not. They're in, they're not. And I have no idea if my predictions were right or wrong. I don't know. I forgot what my predictions were. So let's talk about some of the people who were nominated to go into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year, and then I'll tell you which ones got in and didn't get in. Okay, so let's run through all of them. Are you ready? All right, here we go. First of all, they won the fan vote, but they did not officially get in, and that is the New Edition. The New Edition, which, what do we know New Edition for? Cool it now. You've got to cool it now. Ooh, watch out. Is that New Edition? I mean, you could make a case for the New Kids on the Block, because I think they were much bigger than New Edition. I don't know that New Edition is Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And again, I have to say this every time. This is not the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Stop it. It's poorly named. It is the Museum of Popular Music in America. That's what it is. Whatever this time or era is representing popular music as, that's what the museum is for. So stop it with, no, there's no guitars. Stop it. I know this whole conversation could be easily avoided if they just changed the name of the museum, but they won't, because Cleveland is the birthplace of rock and roll, and, they got to have that. New Edition did not get in. New Edition did not get in. All right, now let's move to Phil Collins. Phil Collins as a solo artist. Phil Collins as a solo artist, I believe he's already in for Genesis. Not believe he is. He's already in for Genesis. But does Phil Collins deserve to go into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a solo artist, the rare two-time inductee? I think Paul McCartney's a three-time inductee. Isn't McCartney three times? I think McCartney's in for the Beatles, he's in for Wings, and he's in as a solo. Anyway, Phil Collins is going for a two-time inductee, and he's in. Phil Collins, of course, is in. New Edition, not in. Phil Collins is in. All right, let's move now to Mariah Carey. How could Mariah Carey not be in? I don't know. That would be my first question, because Mariah Carey did not get in. Mariah Carey, New Edition, did not get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Phil Collins did. How about Pink? Pink was on the ballot. Pink did not get in. Pink should not get in. With all due, Pink should not get in. I just don't. Let's move to Shakira. Let's just put her in the same category as Pink. You don't get in. All right, a couple of more albums, and maybe in 10 years we'll revisit. But no, Shakira and Pink do not get in. Billy Idol. Billy Idol was nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Billy Idol has a new documentary. Is it on Hulu or maybe, again, here we are. I don't know what it's on. Hulu, Prime, Apple, whatever. Billy Idol has a new documentary about his life, and I watched 20 minutes of it. And then just like everything else I've started watching recently, I was like, I'm not really interested in this. And why did I watch 20 minutes of Billy Idol? Because the only thing interesting about Billy Idol is the stuff that he did before he became Billy Idol, like his stuff with Generation X, the band, and all that, the early punk stuff. That's really interesting. And that the junkie days of Billy Idol, that's what I was really interested in, and that's what I got. And then I bailed. Right when Rebel Yell hit, I was like, all right, I don't need to see any more of this. I'm caught up from here on. Billy Idol got in. Billy Idol got into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You know what? Let me say about Billy Idol. I'll say about Billy Idol what I just said about Pink and Shakira. Maybe if Pink and Shakira wait 10 years. Because 10 years ago, if you'd have said Billy Idol's going to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I'd have been like, yeah, we need to settle a little more on his career. I think a little more time. I think we need to be a bit more nostalgic about his contribution before we weigh this option. Billy Idol goes in. He is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Lauryn Hill of the Fugees. Lauryn Hill, Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, right? Lauryn Hill, solo artist. Lauryn Hill, Fuji, foundational, hip hop, R&B. Were they even trip hop or whatever? I don't know what they were. They came around. The Fugees came around at a time when people hadn't put hip hop in boxes, and they were very good. They were very good. Lauryn Hill does not get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I thought she would. I thought that Lauryn Hill's contribution to her lane of music and popular culture was enough to get her in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But no, Lauryn Hill does not go in. Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden was on the list. Iron Maiden. I don't know. I'm not an Iron Maiden guy. There was a time when I would have been an Iron Maiden guy at like 12 or 13. I was more of a punk guy. The dirtbag metal, like the stupid stoner metal, I always thought was not my thing. So I never really got into Iron Maiden. But Iron Maiden goes into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I guess they mean a lot to people who love that genre, and I'm not going to argue with that because I'm not really up to speed on Iron Maiden or their contribution, but some people who are, they think yes. So Iron Maiden goes in. Iron Maiden goes in. NXS was on the ballot. NXS did not get in. Now, this is where I'm like, when I should have been listening to Iron Maiden, I think I was listening to NXS. I mean, when I should have been listening to Iron Maiden's Devil Horn Goat Fuck or whatever album they put out, I was listening to like Shabu Shaba or, original, stuff like that. NXS did not get in. I'm shocked. I'm really shocked that NXS did not get in. I wonder if Michael Hutchence was still alive. I wonder if they'd have gotten in. I don't know. Anyway, NXS does not get in to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The Black Crowes. Hey, little woman, let me light your candy because my mom too hard to handle now. Mess around. I love the Black Crowes. I've seen the Black Crowes like 5 times. I've seen the Black Crowes in small clubs. I've seen the Black Crowes in the Black Crowes are one of the greatest rock and roll bands I've ever seen. Those boys throw down. Those boys are fun. Not going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Sorry, Chris and Rich Robinson, but you know what they were? Seriously, the Black Crowes and Oasis are basically the same band. One's from Manchester and the other's from, I think the Black Crowes are from Colorado, maybe. Whatever. They're just, the Robinson brothers are just an American version of the Gallagher brothers. Oasis is much bigger. Don't get me wrong. The Black Crowes do not go in to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. How about Melissa Etheridge? Melissa Etheridge. Come to my window, slut. Shut that thing shut, man. Because she is not getting in. Melissa Etheridge gets denied. All right, let's move in now. This is a big one. I remember talking about this one. This was a no-brainer for me. This is a band that I think absolutely, but a double band. This was the double band. Joy Division, New Order go in to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Yeah, damn right they do. And New Order was a very big, very popular I mean, New Order was a band that played soccer stadiums around the world. It was about a 4 or 5 year period, I would say, between 1989 and 1992, 93, where New Order and Depeche Mode and bands like that were just as big as they got. Now, that's New Order. What about Joy Division? I've never heard of Joy Division. Joy Division is New Order. Joy Division was New Order before they suffered a tragic loss of their lead singer, and New Order was the reclamation of Joy Division. When Joy Division ended because of the death, New Order, the name New Order, we are the New Order of things. They are what sprung up. So Joy Division / New Order goes into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Without a question. I mean, I'm just like, no, that's New Order. I'm glad to see Joy Division getting recognized, but I'm also New Order getting recognized. There you go. So Joy Division, New Order. See, again, when I was listening to Iron Maiden, when I should have been listening to Iron Maiden, I was listening to INXS and Joy Division. Speaking of the Black Crowes, isn't this interesting? I said the Black Crowes, the Robinson brothers, they're just the American version of the Gallagher brothers of Oasis. Oasis was on the ballot for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and you better goddamn well believe they went in. That's how much bigger they are than the Black Crowes. Yeah, I know, the brotherly relationship, the combative stage antics and all that stuff, very similar, but Oasis is way bigger than the Black Crowes, and the Oasis go in. Oasis goes into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Who else? Sade. Smooth operator. She goes in. I got no thoughts on Sade. Again, not my genre. I am not completely, taken by whatever it is that would have her go into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Unfamiliar. I know Smooth Operator. Smooth Operator. Didn't like that song. Don't like it, but I'm familiar with it. And, okay, go ahead. You're a Sade fan. Good for you. You got your girl in there. There's room. Like, that's the other thing. People get mad. Like, why is that person in there? I'm like, there's room. There's room. Plenty of room. What do you mean to think about it? If people like Sade and enough people agreed that Sade's deserved, then she goes. All right, Sade. Sade goes into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Luther Vandross. The late Luther Vandross. Another guy was never really into Luther Vandross because at the time of his peak of powers, I was not a guy who was into, the whole, oh, baby, woo, 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 I want to woo you. That was a whole genre of music where and Luther was like the king of it, where every chorus was, you make me want to woo, woo, shit like that. I'm like, I don't like that music. That music is not my thing. Where's the guitar riffs? Where's the verse, chorus, verse? That's what I like. Power pop. Give me 3 minutes. Get out of here with the, my lady makes me woo, woo. Luther Vandross goes in. Luther Vandross goes in. Good for him. People love Luther. He seemed like a good dude. All right, he's in. Jeff Buckley. Jeff Buckley, singer-songwriter, tragically drowned in a Memphis river about, 25 years ago at this point, a long time ago. Jeff Buckley. Jeff Buckley was a terrific regional. He was regional. He wasn't a household name. Nobody knew who the fuck Jeff Buckley was. He was a beautiful, not famous. I'm tired of the people who discovered him posthumously. They're like, Jeff Buckley was doing the radio shows in Chicago when he was playing little clubs and stuff. He was never a big star. Okay. He was a very talented guy. He's a very talented singer-songwriter. He was a son of what was his dad? His dad was like a 60s singer-songwriter who had some success, but his dad had zero relationship with Jeff. Anyway, Jeff Buckley died tragically. He never broke. He became more popular in death posthumously than he ever was. He's a beautiful, talented artist who just doesn't have the body of work to justify Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and he's not in. He's not in. Jeff Buckley did not get in. There's a new doc, I say that the last couple of months. There's a new doc on one of the services about Jeff Buckley, and it's beautiful, and it's a really sad story. But I'm sorry, the guy never even had a hit. His version of Hallelujah, if you're familiar with Leonard Cohen's iconic song Hallelujah, Jeff Buckley has probably the best cover version of that ever recorded. So go ahead, go look for Jeff Buckley's Hallelujah. It's beautiful, but he does not get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. All right, the final one that was on the ballot, getting into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the Wu-Tang Clan. Oh, come on. This is a reason to tune in to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame live stream. The Wu-Tang Clan is going in. It's going to be crazy. That all-star jam, the Wu-Tang Clan's all-star jam on stage is going to be amazing. The Wu-Tang Clan are probably, and I have to be honest with you, I was not a first-generation Wu-Tang Clan fan. I did not get into the Wu-Tang Clan until I dated a girl who was super into the Wu-Tang Clan around 2005. And I, a white guy, I'm like, what is, I've heard of these guys, but what is this? And it's just amazing. They are so fun. They are so joyous. They are so just wacky. It's almost like Kiss, if Kiss was raised in Staten Island. I don't know, just very cool. Anyway, the Wu-Tang Clan goes in, and good for them. Those guys are awesome. All right, so once again, let me tell you who's going into the 2006 class of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Phil Collins goes in. Billy Idol goes in. Iron Maiden goes in. Joy Division New Order goes in. Oasis goes in. Sade goes in. Luther Vandross goes in. And the Woo goes in. How exciting. All right. I love that. It's not something I used to, every year we used to watch that with my kid. Yeah, my kid and I, as soon as HBO or Max, I guess, they always post it. Posting on Friday, the 2025 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And that would always be on our weekends with me and my son. That would be one of the things. We're going to watch Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Yeah. It was cool. It's like a cool dad thing. I'm not going to be able to do that this year. All right. Let's see. Let's move on with another story that everybody's talking about here today. Are you guys fine? Actually, maybe everybody's not talking about it. I mean, I haven't been talking about it, and it hasn't been a very big story on my radar. But every time I walk by a television screen that my mom is in front of, this story is all over. Whether it's Good Morning America, the Today Show, ABC News with David Muir. Every time I walk past the TV that my mom is watching, I'm seeing this story. And I'm like, okay, so maybe I should talk about it. Are you guys up to speed on the story of Brian and Lynette Hooker? Brian and Lynette Hooker are a couple. They're an old married couple, and they're not an old married couple. They're actually, they're my age, maybe a little bit older. Anyway, they've been married for a while. They go down there I'm going to read you the story. Right? I'm going to read you the story because there's just, I could just wax poetic and stream on this because I got a lot of thoughts, but let's keep it framed to within the facts of the story. So let me get you caught up on what this story is about. Lynette Hooker and her husband, Brian, went on a vacation. And at some point in the vacation, they went out in a dinghy. Now, I used to be lake trash. I'm not sure what a dinghy is. I'm guessing it's a little boat. And they're out there in the ocean. And when the dinghy came back in, there was only one of them. It was only Brian. Brian Hooker was the only one there. Lynette didn't make it back. And Brian has a story. So here's the story. Lynette Hooker's husband, Brian Hooker, has now been released from police custody without charges after she disappeared in the Bahamas. Lynette, here, I'll show you a picture of them. While we're doing this, we'll show you a nice picture of this couple just so you can relate. So you can look at them and go, they look like my neighbors. Bam. All right, there you go. You see them there like that. Hold on, let me close. I got so many windows up. I don't think I need all these windows. All right, so there you have. That's Brian and Lynette Hooker. That's them. I don't know if that's is that the dinghy? No, that looks like they're on jet skis. I don't know, whatever. That's them. Maybe this was taken during the trip. I'm not entirely sure if that was taken during the trip, but that's them. Okay, so these are the people. Make sure I didn't move this. Hold on. And of course, that's the one I moved. All right, hold on. I got two windows open. One, I wanted to put their picture up, and then this one is the one that I'll read. Okay. Here's what it says. Lynette vanished on a dinghy during a nighttime trip to the Bahamas. Her husband, Brian, was taken into custody days later. It says here, the husband of missing American woman Lynette Hooker has been released without charges following his arrest in connection with her disappearance in the Bahamas. The decision to release this individual was made following consultation with the Department of Public Prosecutions, which recommended that no charges be filed at this time pending the outcome of further investigations. Now remember, a husband and his wife on vacation took a dinghy out into the middle of the ocean, and only the husband came back. We talk a lot about the court of public opinion. The court of public opinion pretty much knows what happened, right? We know what happened because Brian doesn't seem all that freaked out about it. Court of public opinion says that Brian killed her, that it was her and Brian out there in the middle of the water. He fucking threw her overboard and then paddled away. That's what the court of public opinion says. But there are no facts that back that up, and there can't be any facts to back that up because they were in the middle of the ocean and it was just him and her. And his story is, I didn't do anything wrong. She fell out. She fell out and I tried to save her, but the current took her and she was too far away by the time I got control of the dinghy, and then she was gone. Here's the problem. Court of public opinion says you killed your wife. The facts, however, do not bolster that to the extent that you're going to charge this guy with murder and put him in jail for the rest of his life because, unfortunately, there are no witnesses, and it is very possible that she could have fallen out of the boat, especially when you start reading into these two and you start hearing from people back in their hometown. They're drunks. These people, all of the people who knew them were like, yeah, I'm sure alcohol was involved. Alcohol was probably definitely involved. Now, I just called them drunks and I shouldn't make that leap. But you know, when they send people to your hometown and they're like, what do you think happened? And everybody's like, oh, they're probably wasted. That means that, you know, people know you as being party people. So that really clouds this. Could she have been drunk? Could he have been drunk and unable to maneuver? Could this just be a tragic accident because a couple of people were acting, recklessly while under the influence of alcohol? I don't know. But the authorities there in the Bahamas are like, we don't have any proof. He says he didn't do it. No, it's believable that she might have fallen over. So that's where we are with this thing. And that's why before the show started, when I was talking about all the things I was going to get into, I actually classified this as, I think the perfect murder occurred. I think this husband is going to get away with murdering his wife because where is the evidence? I'm sorry, but if I'm on the jury, I'll be thinking one thing. I'll be like, this guy killed his wife. But then you're not going to be able to present anything. It's just going to be what I think. Yeah, this looks like he killed her. But then I'm going to have to be like, well, is that enough to end this man's life? Because think of it from the other side. If he is telling the truth and she did fall over, this man's wife, he watched his wife be carried away by the ocean. That's fucking awful. And now we're going to put him in jail for the rest. I mean, look, you've got to err on the side of humanity. And we just can't prove that he killed her. I don't know how we prove it. It says here, the decision to release the individual was made following consultation with the Department of Public Prosecutions in the Bahamas, which recommended that no charges be filed at this time pending the outcome of further investigation. What investigation? You gonna talk to the dolphins? You gonna go get Aquaman involved? Did he see anything? I don't know how you have an investigation when two people disappear out in the middle of the ocean and one comes back. Nobody else was there to witness what happened. All we have is the story of the guy who survived, and we're all so fucking cynical that the court of public opinion has already convicted this guy. But meanwhile, where the rubber hits the road, the prosecution there in the Bahamas, they're like, yeah, we think you probably did it too, but we can't prove it. It's the perfect murder. It's the perfect murder. Women or men for that matter, if your wife suggests on a vacation to just go out on a dinghy, just the two of you into the middle of nowhere, that's, here's a good thing. Here's a good rule of thumb. Don't ever go with somebody on a boat into the middle of nowhere. Don't ever just be alone with somebody. Never just two people. Five minimum. If we are going out in the middle of the ocean on a boat, I need at least 5 other people. It says here the investigation remains ongoing, and Brian Hooker, 58 years old, remains a person of interest. Here's a quote now. It says, "It's unfortunate that they had to exhaust the entire investigative period to come to this conclusion," Brian Hooker's attorney told reporters. Like, what do you mean unfortunate? Dude, you know what's going on here. Your guy. There's no proof. What do you mean unfortunate? Just shut up. They're letting them go. They got no proof. Shut up. It's unfortunate that they wasted so much time when it's obviously clear my client had nothing to do with it. Dude, it's not obviously clear. Okay? Brian was taken into custody in the Bahamas on April the 8th after his wife, Lynette Hooker, 55, vanished during a dinghy trip that began on the night of April 4th from Hopetown, Elbow Cay in the Bahamas. He was in custody for days and questioned several times before police ultimately decided to release him without filing charges. Lynette reportedly fell overboard with the boat keys. So a dinghy. Okay, so so this is not, I don't know, I guess this is a motorized thing, a motorized dinghy. So she falls overboard. She's got the keys in her pocket. Oh man. Hey, have you guys ever seen, this is the most nightmare viral video that I have ever seen. Because as I said, I used to be lake trash. This is like the most nightmare viral video I've ever seen. It seems to be a man and a woman. The man is water skiing and the woman is driving the boat. And then the man wants a beer. So the woman puts the boat on auto and walks to the back of the boat to sort of toss the guy a beer. He's been pulled behind the boat. She goes to toss him the beer. She falls into the water. Oh my God. Nobody's driving the boat and she's got it on power and it's just falling ass and she's falling in. And then immediately when she falls in, the skier falls and the boat just goes. Oh my God. Is that like kind of the same kind of thing? Like she fell overboard. She had the keys so he couldn't power the boat back up, or I don't know. Lynette reportedly fell overboard with the boat keys in her pockets. Then Brian paddled the dinghy back to shore. How far? He couldn't have been too far out if he's paddling. If you're out in the middle of nowhere and all of a sudden you got to paddle, you're in the ocean. I'm like, I'm going to die. I'm just going to die. Do they not have cell phones? Do you go out? Is that a thing? See, wouldn't that be one of the first things you would think? I don't know. Maybe I'm a weirdo who has too much respect for both the mountains, the forests, and the oceans. I just have way too much respect. But before you do that, before you go in the dinghy, don't you go, hey, if we're all the way out there, are we going to have a way to contact anyone? Like, cell phone? And if the cell phone doesn't work, don't you say we got to get something that's going to allow us to be in contact? You don't just go out in the ocean with no way to contact people. Jeez, I'm afraid to drive my car through bad neighborhoods without a cell phone, lest my car break down. I don't understand these people who go out without any ways. She falls over, you contact someone immediately. Hey, help me, I'm here, blah, blah. No, he just paddles back. All right, that's a little sus. Time being I don't know. Why did he go out without any means to communicate? That's dumb. Lynette reportedly fell over with the boat keys. Brian then paddled the dinghy back to shore to tell authorities what had happened. Early the next morning. What, did he get a good night's sleep or did it take him that long to paddle back? I'm not entirely sure. Strong currents carried Lynette away and Brian lost sight of her, police claim. Brian told them. After his arrest, Brian's attorney, Terrell Butler, said that Mr. Hookers categorically and unequivocally denies any wrongdoing and is cooperating fully with authorities. His attorney has also pushed back on claims from Lynette's daughter. All right, so there's a daughter, right? So now we're going to learn a little bit. We don't know anything about Brian and Lynette. But now, like I said, they went and talked to the people in the hometown. They talked to family members. We're starting to get more of an idea here of what's going on. But again, and no proof. Like, how do you prove it? This is all what's known as circumstantial evidence. The daughters think he killed her. The daughter's like, oh, he's an asshole. He's been abusive, and he's a rage guy, and he's a drunk. All right. Butler also pushed back on claims from Lynette's daughter, Carly, who has publicly raised concerns about the couple's relationship, which she describes as extremely volatile, and called for a thorough investigation by Bahamian authorities. All right, so the daughter, not his daughter. Apparently, this is like a step situation or whatever, and it's not rare for stepchildren to be looking cross-eyed at the person who's now suddenly in their lives. But okay, this is interesting, right? Because I can tell you this. My mother has a husband. Okay, if my mother and her husband went on a trip and this whole situation occurred, right, there wouldn't be an ounce in my body that would think that Eddie, my wife's husband, did this. There just wouldn't. And so I'm the same as Carly in this scenario. Carly is the woman's daughter saying, I think he did it. So, maybe listen to him, because when your parents, your grown parents, they get into relationships, it's time to shut up. You're not a 15-year-old, right? Just shut up. But yeah, I would know for a fact that my mother's husband didn't kill her. I know that for a fact. But these people are like, no, Brian probably killed her. Brian's a little bit of an asshole. In response, the attorney said that Brian is the only witness to what transpired, and that he has said that he did nothing wrong. And that's good enough for the attorney who's being paid. And he said that he did nothing wrong. So to refer to allegations of abuse in the relationship or a tumultuous relationship in general does not explain what happened on the day or indicate whether or not he was somehow culpable for anything that may have happened to her. So even his attorney is going, he's like, yeah, okay, so maybe they have a well-documented history of a volatile relationship. But you weren't there. Like, that is all they are resting on. And that's all they need to rest on. This is a case of one person was there telling the story of what happened. Do you believe that one person without any other information? This is a tough one. The daughter later said that her stepfather was extremely strict and had volatility issues. He was in anger management. So he had to go to anger management because he was a volatile guy. I mean, Richard Cook, who is a team leader with the Hopetown Volunteer Fire and Rescue Squad, said that on April 7th, he said that he believed alcohol was probably involved. Now, how does a guy who works with Brian Hooker, knows Brian Hooker, the first thing this guy goes is, yeah, I don't know what was going on there, but I'm pretty sure alcohol was involved. Because they know these people. Because they know these people, they're drinkers. They're out in their bars and they're drinking whatever, and that's great. Look, man, they're not certainly old enough, I think, to be full-time alcoholics. They're only in their 50s. But, as you get older, retirees, man, there's no such thing as alcoholism if you're over 75. That's what I believe. No such thing. You can be an alcoholic at 45, 55, maybe even 60. But once you get to 75, you're just someone who's lived a life and you deserve to do whatever the fuck you want from this point forward. So, yeah, Richard Cook, he's saying that alcohol was probably involved. Let's see here. Before he was arrested, Brian wrote on Facebook. So Brian was getting out ahead of it, Brian Hooker. He's getting out ahead of it. He posted on Facebook before he was arrested. This is another one of these things. I always say this. If a tragedy befalls me, God forbid, I'm not even going to say it because you don't put it out there, but God forbid any kind of real tragedy occurs in my life affecting somebody who I love, right? Anything like that. I ain't going on Facebook, okay? You ain't going to hear me making a statement, okay? I'm not going to go on Anderson Cooper, okay, and cry on TV. I don't understand these people. I am so suspicious of that move. There was a school shooting today, and here are the two parents of one of the children that were slain 4 hours ago. They're joining us now on Anderson Cooper 3. What the fuck is that? Jesus. Anyway, Brian hit up Facebook within hours after the disappearance. Brian wrote on Facebook that unpredictable seas and high winds caused Lynette to fall from the boat. Despite desperate attempts to reach her, the winds and currents drove us further apart, he wrote. We continue to search for her, and that is my sole focus. Yeah, him and OJ. They're gonna never. Anyway, there you have it. That's the story of Brian and Lynette. Excuse me, Hooker. The nice little American couple who went down to the Bahamas went out on a dinghy in the middle of the night, and only one came back. Look at her waving. Bye-bye, Lynette. It's too bad. Anyway, let's see. What else do we have? Okay, we got a couple more things that we can do here. I do want to remind you one more time that our executive producer of today's show is Barney. Thank you. He was the only person who tipped the show yesterday. Nobody has tipped the show today. This will be the last week of shows because seriously, if I have to borrow money, that's the end. I've never had to borrow money before to get this show over the finish line. So if that's what we have to do, then I just can't. I just can't do it anymore. All right, so thank you to Barney. He's our executive producer. We are desperately still in the throes of a pledge week. If you want to help the show out, please help us out. All right, what else do we have here? What is this? Oh, this was an interesting little piece of video that we can watch. Okay, so obviously the big story of the last couple of days, and it's just on everybody's timeline. Like my timelines on all of my social medias are just, everything is like Trump versus Leo versus Trump. It's crazy. So there's a lot of discussion lately about Catholicism, a subject that I know a whole fucking lot about, okay? I know enough about it to decide about 20 years ago that I was no longer going to be participating, okay? That's what a lapsed Catholic is. Catholic school, Catholic mass, all of that shit. It's part of my culture. Never really thought it was special. I never in a million years did I think there was anything special about the bullshit cultural Catholicism that I experienced my whole life. But for some reason, out of nowhere, for the first time ever, Catholicism is catching all kinds of strays from the worst people, from the absolute worst people. And they're catching strays because the voice of the Catholic Church is only saying the absolute best and most beautiful things. The exact kind of thing that the spiritual leader of 1.5 billion people is supposed to do. No war, Prince of Peace, blessed be the peacemakers, all of that shit. So he's evil. So he's evil because that's how they're trying to fuck you over. Now, I saw this clip. I want to show you this because, man, is this true. Man, is this true. The Catholic Church, unlike evangelicals and Baptists and all of that, the Catholic Church is not really big on you converting, okay? You can convert to Catholicism through marriage, and that's probably the most acceptable thing, all right? A good Catholic girl marries a Jewish guy. The Jewish guy converts. He goes through adult catechism, and all of a sudden, look, Westo, Presto, Bingo, you are now Catholic. Right? But it's not a big part. It is not a big part of the Catholic religion. They don't stand on street corners and say, come to our church. No. The Catholic tradition relies on what's known as cradle Catholics. Cradle Catholics. That's what I am. That's what most people who consider themselves culturally Catholic to be. It is the concept that you were never given a choice, that you were born culturally and through blood and tradition into this religion. You're different than a converted Catholic. And I bring this up because J.D. Vance is one of these converted Catholics. And this is the new, and it's only come to my knowledge within the last couple of years, this trend of treating Catholicism the way you treat Baptists or the way you treat evangelicalism, which is that anybody can just come on in if they're willing to tithe on Sunday and be a part of this. Can't do that with Jews. You never before could do that with Catholics, except through marriage. That was the exception. Why? Because the most important thing about Catholicism is creating more cradle Catholics. So if you want to get married to somebody who's not Catholic, yeah, we frown on that, but we're going to let that guy come in, become a Catholic so that you can make more cradle Catholics. That's why the Catholic tradition doesn't believe in abortion, because babies. It's why they don't believe in any kind of contraception, because babies. It's why every Irish Catholic family you've ever heard about has 14 brothers and sisters. Same goes for Italian Catholic families. Catholic families are big because the church demands it. That's how they grow in rank. Through tradition, through family upbringing, through cradle Catholicism. cradle Catholics. But now we got the J.D. Vance crowd coming in here, and they're bringing all of this evangelical bullshit. I want to give you an example. There was an interesting conversation that I saw yesterday. It was going viral, and this is so fucking true. This is the problem with the cradle Catholic, or not the cradle Catholics, the conversion Catholic, the J.D. Vance type of Catholic, okay? The one who thinks it's perfectly okay to question the word of the Pope. No cradle Catholic would ever question the word of the Pope, because that's a part of the religion. Oh, you're just mindless. And your religion is? I mean, we're talking about religion. Anyway, listen, I thought this was really interesting because
We
it's
don't talk enough about
it is a conversation that concerns this idea within Catholicism of the cradle Catholic, people like me who were raised and baptized at birth. See, the Baptists don't believe that that's a thing. The Baptists have a very beautiful notion, which is that people should be old enough to make the choice for themselves. That is something that I absolutely believe in. You know, I've always described myself, certainly recently, as a searcher who, you know, I don't think that you should have your faith or have it all completely figured out until your deathbed. That's the point of life. It's a journey, experiencing new things, understanding that maybe you're wrong about this. Maybe you were right about that. Whatever. Faith is a journey. That's what I've always believed. Catholics don't believe that. Catholics, it's not a journey. The fuck is wrong with you? Shut up. This is what you are. Act like it. So that's what we do. Cradle Catholics. But again, now we have the J.D. Vance people coming in. For what reason? I don't know. But here, this is an interesting conversation about that very subject.
about the conversion to Catholicism as an adult. I don't want to disparage the Catholic faith. I know Mad Dog, McKinsey, you guys are
Yep.
Catholics.
Yep.
Kudos to you. I hope you're
I'm a
happy
cradle Catholic, though.
in your religion. But like
Cradle Catholic.
yeah, but
Here, too.
choosing to become a Catholic, like,
Crazy.
being how old was he? Like 35 years old? I don't understand that mentality.
So did you hear that response? I wanted to just give you that response because that was the most authentic response that any cradle Catholic would have. When that guy said J.D. Vance, he converted to Catholic, or he converted to Catholic, did you hear the girl go, why? Why? That's like every response. No cradle Catholic could ever understand why somebody would choose this. So that's sus from the beginning.
It seems
crazy.
Being
There it is.
how old
That's
was
why
he?
she said
yeah,
that seems crazy.
Choosing to become a Catholic, like,
Crazy.
Being how old was he? Like 35 years old? I don't understand that mentality at all. It seems that also seems performative.
It is. It's also like being a cradle Catholic versus a Catholic convert are two very different mindsets you have to be in.
Have you ever seen the classic tweet about this? It's so good. I gotta read this to you. This is a Gray B wrote this. Every lifelong Catholic, every cradle Catholic I've ever met is like, I think we're supposed to give the food to poor people. And every adult convert is like, the Archon of Constantinople's epistle on the Pentecostine rites of the Eucharist states that women shouldn't have driver's licenses.
Yeah.
That's very
There you go. I just thought that was great.
other thing
That is exactly the truth. Every cradle Catholic is like, yeah, we're just supposed to be nice and charity work and all that stuff. Every J.D. Vance type Catholic is like, this is why women should stay in the kitchen. It's like, shut the fuck up. Don't come into this religion. Don't come in with all of this nonsense, evangelical, backward ass bullshit. We got our own backward ass bullshit. And let me tell you, our backward ass bullshit goes back 2,000 years. All right? So stop it with your nonsense. Anyway, I thought that was funny. The conversation between the cradle Catholic life experience and the person who chooses this life of oppression and guilt and carrying shame. Nobody normal chooses Catholicism. You're given no choice. Anyway. All right. Let's see. What else do we have here? Now we can do this. All right, I like to do this. I'm okay, guys. You know me, and I have. Oh God, I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm very attracted to. I'm very attracted to, and this is not special. I'm not special, like a lot of people are. I'm very attracted to Megyn Kelly physically. I just think, look, she's an Irish Catholic girl. I like that. First of all, that's good. That's like she's like the most beautiful Irish Catholic girl I've ever seen. All of that being said, she's awful. She's like terrible. She's like, I would hate her. And yet for some reason, that just ups the attraction even more. I'm like, oh God, man, I'd like to pull her by the hair. You know, I'm very attracted to her. I don't like anything that comes out of her mouth. I think that she's a shit talking troll. I think she's a bitch. I think she's not authentic. I think that she is absolutely trying to, find her lane so that she can keep going now that she's off of the big corporate network kind of thing. So whatever. I don't think she's a very ethical person. I think she's a garbage person. That's what I think but man, I don't know why I'm attracted to her. Here's why. You want to know why I'm attracted to her? She's got that bitch thing. I told you I love the bitchy woman. I love the woman who's like, you're an asshole. I love that. Again, I was raised by a single mom. I bet in therapy we could trace that back to being yelled at by my mom. Anyway, so I have this love-hate thing with Megyn Kelly. Like we were doing a segment. What's Megyn Kelly wearing? Because I love what she wears. So let's do that. Let's check in with her. She was trending again today. I didn't see this yet. I don't know what she's trending about, but why not? Let's give it a look. Let's see what Megyn Kelly is wearing today.
I don't know what he's doing.
What is she talking about? Oh, also, here's the other thing that I find very attractive about Megyn Kelly. She's brilliant. She's brilliant. She's an incredibly well-read, articulate, smart, highly educated person. She's an awful piece of shit in, a bunch of other areas. But, I like that. She is physically attractive. She is bitchy and smart. I'm sorry. Those are all things that I like. So let's check in with Megyn Kelly, shall we? Let's see what she's getting into. Is she wearing her Catwoman suit today? What's she wearing? I like when she wears the skin tight rubber suit because, she is still selling sex. She understands it. She's 56, 57 years old. She is better looking than any 56 or 57-year-old woman I know. I've never seen a woman this age look this good. So she's holding it together and she's still trying to sell the sexuality while she can. It's still working. What's she wearing here? What's this? This is like some pendant of argon proving that she's of the lizard people class. I don't know what that is. But let's listen to what Megyn Kelly's saying today.
But the president is spiraling downward in his poll numbers. He is on a downward spiral now.
All right, what's she wearing? All right, here's what she's wearing. She seems to be wearing a cotton blue with white polka dot. I don't know. Maybe she's got jeans under there and that pulls down. I can't really tell. The poofy shoulders are interesting. She's made a weird choice with the poofy shoulders. But honestly, if I'm looking to criticize, she looks fine. Right? If we were on a Tinder date and she showed up looking like that, I'd be like, she looks good. That looks good. She looks good. All right, Megyn Kelly looking good today. Let's continue with what she's saying.
But the president is spiraling downward in his poll numbers. He is on a downward spiral now. We'll talk about in a minute what's happening with the white working class. That's Trump's base. And he's now underwater with them. We saw one poll about 7 to 10 days ago showing it. And now there's another. There's no question. He's collapsed now with the white working class. My friends, that's it. Other than Fox News boomers, there's no one left.
Which is interesting because that used to be her bread and butter. that was who got her fancy penthouse in New York. Those Fox News boomers.
There's no one left in the original MAGA coalition. White working class? I really look forward to the people.
Hey, by the way, checking in with that. I mean, Barney has gone on record now. Barney is no longer. Barney gets the off ramp. Barney probably took the off ramp a while ago. He set me straight. I was teasing Barney as seemingly one of the lone standouts for that way of, government. I accused Barney of voting for Trump 3 times. He didn't. He said he voted for him once. It was fine. Everybody, it's fine. So I apologize for that. But what happened to Byron? What happened to Byron? The last time, Byron used to be in the chat room all the time. I don't think I've seen Byron in a while. Now, it can be a number of things with Byron. I love Byron. Byron and I go back way back. It could be a number of things. It can be, what I really hope it isn't is that Byron just got tired of hearing my shit because Byron is a right-wing MAGA guy. So maybe he got tired of hearing my shit and he's like, Pugs is fine, but fuck him. And like, that's how guys are. And that's fine. And that's fine. And then, that would be maybe the best case scenario. The second one is that, is he well? Is he ill? Hold on. as I'm talking about it. Maybe I should check the chat room. I didn't see today. Is he in there today? I haven't seen Byron. All right. So the other thing is it, ill health. I want to make sure that all that, you people here in the chat room are, believe it or not, important to me. So I like when you go missing for a few days, I'm like, did I do something or are they dead? I don't want them to be dead. Seriously, I lost a lot of sleep. Remember Jeff Glenn? I thought Jeff Glenn was dead. He's still around. I think he just doesn't like me anymore. But Byron, the third option with Byron is that he's just been banned. I don't ban anybody. So I don't know if that's, but I don't know where Byron is. Did he get banned? I don't know. All right. Hold on. Before we go back to that, let's put this up with Adam because it pertains to something we had talked about earlier. Adam said that apparently Diana Russini had resigned from The Athletic. Yeah, of course. Now, earlier in the chat room, you were correcting me. You were like, no, she's just been sidelined. Well, yes, sidelined pending an investigation. These are big multi-million-dollar contracts. You can't just fire people for cause like that because these people you've been paying $1 million to have really good law firms that they can hire, and then suddenly it's a whole thing. So what you do in these situations is you don't fire them. You sideline them pending an internal investigation. And then when the buzz, the heat of the story is gone in 3 weeks, you officially fire them because of the investigation. But Diana Russini, breaking news thanks to Adam, she apparently got out in front of that. She knew that it was over and her career is over, so she has resigned. She has resigned from her work as the NFL insider for The Athletic and her duties at the New York Times. So, I mean, I don't know. What are we arguing about? All right, back to hot Megyn Kelly talking about, what's she talking about? Oh, she's talking about Trump and the working class.
There's no one left. There's no one left in the original MAGA coalition. White working class? I really look forward to the people who purport to speak for the white working class, people who have written whole books about the working class and what's important to them, people who have been ripping on the so-called podcast class for being critical of this war and how they're completely irrelevant and no one listens to them. I really look forward to those people updating their reporting to tell us what's actually happening among the Trump base now. Because they want him to focus on the economy, on inflation, not on Iran.
Come on. Tell me that's not sexy. She's like yelling at you. Like you left the dishes in the sink again. And this is the tone she's going to take. Oh, it's sexy.
That's what they want. They don't give two shits about the Strait of Hormuz, about Karg Island.
She's your friend's hot mom yelling at him because he didn't fucking take the garbage out. It's very sexy.
About blockades in the Middle East. They care about their pocketbooks and being able to pay their mortgages and their grocery bills and their car payment without getting that sickening feeling in their stomach. They don't have unlimited funds.
There she is. That's mean old Megyn Kelly. All right. Whew. I'm a big fan. Wait, what is this? What is this? Adam says, I guess Chase Daniel needs a new podcast partner. Was he doing a podcast with Diana Russini? I mean, she could still do any Diana Russini. Now she goes and is exclusively, internet-based, podcast-based. She can do whatever she wants. Unless, of course, the Chase Daniel Russini thing, and I'm certain that it was probably an Athletic-produced thing. So probably gone from that. Anyway. All right. Let's see. Adam says the news just came out 27 minutes ago. She just resigned. April's checking in with some Byron updates. She says he's not banned. Well, then I hope he's okay. There you go. Then I hope he's okay. All right. What else do we have? Anything else we can get into? We checked in with her. We did that. We did the Megyn Kelly stuff. Oh, you know what I have here? Let me show you this. We can watch this. This I thought was interesting. This was a piece of video that I meant to air.
Has there been
that I meant to show during the conversation about Diana Russini and Mike Vrabel. But this is a piece of tape that was circulating this morning that I saw, and I went, whoa. This comes from Pardon My Take. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the podcast Pardon My Take. I used to be a big fan of Big Cat, Dan Stevens, Dan Stevens Cats, Dan Cats, whatever, Big Cat. I used to be a big fan of him, but I don't like him anymore. Yeah, Big Cat is one of the. Honestly, if I was the programmer of Barstool content, I would, make sure that everyone there knew that Big Cat was the most talented guy there. Big Cat is the most talented guy in the Barstool universe. He's very good. He's based out of here in Chicago. He also is apparently like a major equity partner in Barstool. So he makes shit tons of money. I mean, there's like Portnoy and then there's him. Anyway, he was one of the originals there on the East Coast with Portnoy when it started out as just a Boston sports sort of thing. That's where Barstool comes from. But they expanded very quickly out of Boston. The first city they went to was Chicago, and they sent Big Cat here to now Big Cat lives in Chicago, and he does all of the Chicago stuff, and he's Mr. Chicago sports fan, and he's a poser. He's an incredibly talented sports personality in this realm. He's not authentic, and he's a poser, and he's just, acting like the world's biggest Chicago sports fans. We all know his actual background. He's from the East Coast. He was sent here by Dave Portnoy to basically establish the Chicago arm of Barstool Sports. So, I've always known that. But recently, during the NFL Combine, there was like a big dinner, Combine week in Indianapolis. Every sports football person, they all go down there, they all have steaks, they all eat in the restaurants and drink in the bars. And there was a video that came out of this guy that I'm going to show you here in a minute, Big Cat of Barstool. There's a video of him sitting at a table with Portnoy and all of these other Barstool people, and they were in a private room in some fancy, big, fat, bloated steakhouse, and they're all sitting there with their drinks, and the video is showing like the table and the seafood tower, and they're all just so fucking grotesque. And then in the video, a fan walks into the room. A fan walks into the room, the private room, and he's nervous, and he's looking at all of these Barstool people, and they were fucking mean to him. They were fucking mean. They were all so cool, like, get out of here, man. Well, you don't belong here. And Big Cat, a guy who I loved, a guy who I thought, even though knowing that he was inauthentic and all of that, a guy who I think is just an amazing interviewer and a terrific sports entertainment performer, he just let me down so much. You can just see, this is what I say about judging people. You just got to watch somebody for 30 seconds. I can tell you if they're an asshole. And when this fan came in to this private steakhouse room where all of the Barstool people were drinking and being loud and the boys and let's look at tits and doing all the stupid Barstool shit. When this fucking scared fan came in, they were fucking mean to him. And this guy, Big Cat, was one of the leaders of being fucking mean. Yeah, get out of here, man. We don't have time for it. Now, I don't know if these Barstool guys intended to have people react that way to the video. I think they put it out there thinking, look how cool we are. Look what we do when nerds show up. I think that was their intention. But the way it fucking played for me, somebody who was a huge admirer of Big Cat, Dan Katz, no, fuck that guy now. I saw who that guy really is in a viral video that was probably more telling about who he is than anything else. Anyway, long story short, that's the guy who's doing the interview here. And he's talking to Diana Russini. This is an interview from about a year ago between Diana Russini. Now, I believe this is just before Mike Vrabel was hired by the Patriots, because the conversation with Diana Russini concerns Mike Vrabel and, what kind of insider information does she have? Now, of course, we know she's having an affair with Mike Vrabel. Don't know if she was having an affair with him back then, but this is interesting. So let's watch this. Again, I think this is old, but it first started recirculating this morning is when I saw it. Maybe you saw it earlier. Here we go.
Or coach who's gotten mad at you for a specific story.
Yeah, Mike Vrabel. He called me the day after an aggregator took something I said that basically said Mike Vrabel's too fat to work.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that was a good story.
So that was
You didn't say too fat. You said he's a large person. He is.
What I shared on the football podcast on The Athletic was that I had dinner with a GM at the Senior Bowl, and we had conversations about how bizarre this last coaching cycle was and how crazy it was that Belichick and Vrabel didn't have gigs. And I said, why do you think that Mike didn't get a job? He said, I think they needed a change there in Tennessee, but in terms of the next opportunity, I think there's a lot of people who are very intimidated by him. He walks into a room and he's confident, and he's a physical.
You know who's not intimidated by Mike Vrabel? Diana Russini. We learned that.
A big human being.
Yeah.
And it's a little startling at first. Very normal, right? When I say this to you.
Remember what I told you when this story first broke? I was like, Mike Vrabel's an alpha. Pete Hegseth and all these MAGA dorks and the Lizard King, they can all pretend to be alphas. Mike motherfucking Vrabel is a legitimate alpha male. And that's what she's describing here. And she's saying that that's one of the reasons that maybe he's having difficulty finding a job. Fun fact, he had no difficulty finding a job. I don't know what the hell they're talking about. He went to the Patriots after being let go in Tennessee, and immediately in his first season took them to the Super Bowl. So stop it.
Right?
These are all. Has there been a player or coach who's got mad at you for a specific story?
Yeah, Mike Vrabel. He called me the day after an aggregator took something I said that basically said Mike Vrabel's too fat to work.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that was a good story.
So that was
you didn't say too fat. You said he's a large person. He is.
What I shared on the football podcast on The Athletic was that I had dinner with a GM at the Senior Bowl, and we had conversations about how bizarre this last coaching cycle was and how crazy it was that Belichick and Vrabel didn't have gigs. And I said, why do you think that Mike didn't get a job? He said, I think they needed a change there in Tennessee, but in terms of the next opportunity, I think there's a lot of people who are very intimidated by him. He walks into a room and he's confident, and he's physically a big human being.
Yeah.
And it's a little startling at first. Very normal, right? When I say this to you, right?
These are all. Has there been
a
player?
Look at her. Look at Diana Russini about a year ago, talking about how big and impressive and masculine and confident Mike Vrabel is. Nah, I'm kidding. She did not. She gave no indication there that they're But it is kind of funny. Tell us how big Mike Vrabel is, Diana, please. Adam says this is the first thing I remember of them, and I mentioned it on the show the day the news broke. I'm a big athletic football podcast fan, so I listened to the podcast. All right, sorry I didn't see that when you mentioned it there. Congratulations. All right, let's see, is there anything else? I think we're done. I think we've done everything. All right, so we are now 3 hours and 25 minutes away. 3 hours and 30 minutes, actually. 3 hours and 30 minutes away from Noah Schultz Day. That's right. For those of us White Sox fans, today's the day that 7'8", 900-pound, 12-year-old Noah Schultz will be making his Major League Baseball debut for the Chicago White Sox. And again, I'll point out, Noah Schultz will play this year. He will struggle mightily, and we'll have questions about, is he a bum arm? And then next year, he'll have a great spring training. He will be the opening day starter for the White Sox next year. He'll rattle off like 6 wins. He'll look great. We'll be like, this is the Noah Schultz we were promised, and then we'll trade him. And then we'll trade him to the Boston Red Sox for like 5 of their top 50 prospects. None of them will pan out. And he will go to the Hall of Fame wearing a Boston Red Sox hat. All right, so that's what we have to look forward to, me as a White Sox fan. Seriously, I'm not kidding. We for some reason, we always trade our best pitching prospects to the Boston Red Sox. And then the Boston Red Sox win World Series with them. Or at least do better than we do. All right. Anything else? What else tonight? There's something else tonight, isn't there? There's something else. I know there was the baseball. There was definitely baseball. That's big for me. I think that's it. How are you guys? What's happening in the chat room here? Frankie B's in the chat room. Frankie B says, "Whoa, what's Frankie say? Why no donation button right there?" Yeah, I don't know. Wouldn't that be great? Frank, but go ahead, man. Jump in because we're hemorrhaging, and this might be the last couple of shows we ever do here because we are already on the 14th day of the month, and we haven't paid for March yet. So go ahead, drop a little something if you want to help support the show. We are like $250 away. We are not going to make it. I'm going to have to borrow money for the first time ever in this show, which I said to myself, the minute I have to borrow money from somebody that isn't supporting the show, fuck it. The show cannot. And I get it. It's not you. It's not us. We've been here for 5 years. It's been a grind the whole time, and we've been doing it because I think that we're providing something for each other. I hope that on my end that I'm providing something for you to listen to that you can't find anywhere else. And what you guys have provided me cannot be articulated. I wouldn't know how to really tell you how much this has meant to be, but it never took off. And I've had this speech before, and we've been saved at the last minute. That's probably not going to happen, and that's okay, because at some point it's got to stop. At some point you got to be like, we can't make it, because this is not a tenable situation. It's been for 5 years, but we're at the point now where I'm in a different city. There are different opportunities. There are different things that I can be doing every day. So maybe we start to do that. And that is really what is keeping me up now. The last like 3 nights in a row, I'm like, I don't want to stop doing this. I don't want to stop doing this, but I have to stop doing this. This is a delusion. I'm crazy. And I love you guys. You guys have been enabling me. You guys have been enabling me to be crazy for 5 years. And also, I can justify that I'm not a loser. That's the crazy thing that's happening mentally inside, right? I'm not an unemployed guy who hasn't worked. No, I'm actually doing something, and I'm working on something that's building, and it's not building. It's not. That's the delusion that I'm telling myself that I am actually doing, and I'm not. So serious things need to be... that's why I don't want to sign. That's why probably the next couple of shows will probably be 5-6 hour shows. We'll see. Just things got to change. Things got to change. I will never stop creating content, but whether or not I will be able to do a live talk style show every day at noon, that's probably not going to continue much longer. It's just not. There's a lot going on in my life right now that I haven't told any of you guys about. There's health things with me, and there's things with, things. It's been a rough month, and I love doing this stuff with you guys, and I love being here every day. And we will be here tomorrow. We'll be back here tomorrow at noon. Very excited about the project that I have going on with Rob. That's a project that might actually make some money. That's something that we could do. It's not going to be anything that any of you people are going to be interested in. Maybe Adam, maybe Peter, but again, God, it's been a grind. It's been a grind. But thank you. And again, I wish I was better. I wish I had the ability to articulate how much you guys have meant to me over these years doing this show. But I can't. But I promise you on the last show, I will. I will work on that speech. We'll get it. We'll get it. All right. Thank you, guys. And thank you, Frankie. Frankie, you can, if you want to donate, you can donate in the way that everybody donates, which is just, you got to go, because I'm not good. There should be a donate button. There's not a donate button. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just so not good. I need producers. This level of talent needs to be produced. I can't just be... The irony is that I was one of the best radio producers this town has ever known, and for some reason I can't produce myself. Did I mention it's Noah Schultz Day? Oh, God, I'm so excited. He's like 20 feet tall and like 5 years old. It's amazing. Tonight at 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock, we're going to see that. All right, guys, I love you. I got to go. It's time to go. I've got nothing else to talk about. And this isn't a therapy session. It's me and you hanging out. See you tomorrow. Bye, guys.